grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot skies, for amber waves of grace, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America the Beautiful, sung beautifully by 10-year-old Michaela Bryan, the daughter of one half of the legendary doubles pairing, Bob Bryan. Welcome to Flushing Meadows. Thank you very much to Kevin and the team. You can continue to listen to the cricket online, but here at Flushing Meadows in New York, we have the women's singles final for you. The American flag has been unfurled. It covers the Arthur Ashe Stadium. Members of the United States Marine Corps Color Guide, the United States Military Academy cadets have just rolled the flag back up together, and they will depart the Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is filling up very nicely, and we are now just moments away from the players taking to the court. It's the best two players in the world right now in the women's game, Iga Świątek against Ons Jabeur. The sun is shining, the roof is open, there is not a cloud in the sky. It's not the hottest it has been. Perfect conditions, and on its way, ball by ball, commentary of the 2022 women's final. Delighted that in the commentary box alongside me, high up in the Arthur Ashe Stadium, Jeff Tarango, Naomi Brody, correspondent Russell Fuller. And Russell, it does feel with these two players in the final a fitting way to end this tournament.
It does, because we have the best two players in the world on the form of 2022, and I think that's hard to argue with now. Ons Jabeur has reached 2 consecutive Grand Slam singles final, having been the runner-up to Jelena Rybakina at Wimbledon, and Iga Świątek is so far ahead of the rest as the world number one, having won those 37 matches in a row, 6 titles already. She's had a little bit of a dip by her standards, hasn't she, over the last couple of months, losing to Elise Cornet at Wimbledon, not having a huge amount of success, again by her standards, in the 3 events she played between Wimbledon and the US Open. But here she is again in the final, trying to win a 3rd Grand Slam, and with this amazing record in finals. She did lose her very first one as an 18-year-old in Lugano in 2019, but since then, played 9, won 9, and yet to drop a set in those finals.
And I've just seen that in her ITF career, which is a level below the tour, she was 7-0 in finals. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's Jeff, the mentality of someone. We talk about wobbles when you get to this stage. This is when she becomes Iga Świątek rock solid.
Yeah, and the first, woman on both sides of the court to forge these different areas for their own countries. It's remarkable to see, because nobody really knew who either of these players were a year and a half, 2 years ago, and here they are at number 1 and 2 in the world. And they're about to go on court here. Is this the quiet part?
Well, this is where we're going to get the thoughts of Ons Jabeur. Well, you hear the countdown, so you'll be hearing from her in about 3 seconds time. A couple of questions will be put to Ons Jabeur.
Ons, you're through to your 2nd consecutive major final, just played at Wimbledon 2 months ago. What did you learn from that experience that can possibly help you tonight?
Definitely learned a lot. It was a tough loss, but I'm coming here to give it all, put my heart on the court, and hopefully get the win.
You've played Iga 4 times on all different surfaces. How do your tactics change on a hard court when you play her?
She's a tough player, and I have so much respect for her, so it's going to be a great match for both of us. I'm going to do me and see what's going to happen.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Mary Jo Fernandez,
now let's bring in
with
world
the
number
questions.
1, 2-time French Open champion, Iga Świątek. Iga, earlier in the week you said your expectations were a bit lower. What have you learned about yourself and your game going into your first US Open final?
A lot. I learned that, I can problem solve in any situation, and basically that even though at the beginning of the tournament you don't have to feel 100% on to win matches. So I'm pretty happy that I gained some confidence and I have a chance to play in the final.
And you're playing Ons, who you know very well. What challenges does she present?
Well, a lot. There's no mistake that she's here, so... Well, for sure you have to stay low on your legs, and she has a different game style than most of the players, so you have to adjust a little bit more, but I'm ready, yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
New York. Please welcome the 2022 U.S. Open Women's Singles finalists. From Tunisia, the first African and first Arab woman ever to reach the U.S. Open final, Jabeur.
28 years of age, Jabeur. She came in as the world number 5 live ranking. She's up to 2 in the world, her second consecutive Grand Slam final. 44 wins under her belt this season.
And the first woman from Poland ever to reach the U.S. Open final, the #1 player in the world, Iga Świątek.
Just 21 years of age, and she's already a 2-time champion. It's absolutely incredible. And since the start of 2021, she has won 90 matches, 9-0 in her last 9 finals, as we mentioned, and she's got 54 wins and 6 titles in 2022. And Naomi Brody, together with bringing very different personalities to the court, they bring very different game styles.
They do. I'm so excited, almost intrigued to see how they're going to match up against each other. We know they each have experience now in Grand Slam finals. Iga being a Grand Slam champion already, Ons reaching that Wimbledon final. She wasn't able to win, but I think she learned a lot from that experience. And yeah, I'm so interested to see how much Ons is going to use the drop shot. I assume she's going to use the slice a lot, try and keep the ball out that strike zone of Świątek, who in turn is really going to be trying to overpower Ons, not allow her the time to be creative out there. But they're going to know each other's games well. They'll have watched each other a lot, and I hope this is the start, as we keep saying, of that rivalry. We need someone up there with Świątek, because she's been completely dominant this year. Maybe a bit more difficult next year. She's going to have a lot of points to defend. She won a lot of matches. But yeah, I'm interested to see with Ons's game. I think it's going to be a really enjoyable final.
Yeah, I mentioned that Świątek, 90 matches she won since the start of 2021. Jabeur has won 92. This is Louise Asmar Engzel, who is your chair umpire. Starting with the photos, we have the special guests who will take part in the coin toss. There'll be a photograph with just the players, and we'll go through the usual bits and pieces, any questions, towel boxes, who's going to call the toss, and then we will start getting underway. But you have to think, Jeff, that for Jabeur, that experience of being in the Wimbledon final will count for a lot. Just what, 2-3 months on, and here she is, another Grand Slam final.
Yeah, and she admitted to having a bad match. She did have a bad match, and she learned from it. But what I liked was she said, I'm going to do me. And that means she's not going to abandon her drop shot. She overused it at Wimbledon. How will she adjust that? That drop shot is what could win her this match. I'm looking for second serve percentage, first serve percentage, and unforced errors as being the biggest stat. But then the off-court one that they don't track is how many drop shots were successful. And if she can get 10 to 12 successful drop shots a set, she'll win this match.
And I think what makes it, Russ, even more interesting, this matchup, not the fact that they've split the last 2 meetings, this is the last 4, this is their 5th one, but Iga Świątek, she came in, a lot of talk about the balls, she didn't like them, she's feeling unsettled. I mean, she was, 2-4 down the 3rd set against Sabalenka in the semi-final. She's been broken 16 times in the last 3 rounds. It hasn't been smooth sailing for the world #1.
No, whatever we think about players highlighting the weight of balls, which to us, amateur players, is incomprehensible that it could really make much of a difference. It clearly worried her and meant that she was less comfortable on these hard courts with the lighter balls that tend to fly more. Now, Naomi and Jeff, in layman's amateur terms, can you explain why that could be so disruptive to somebody with the game of Iga Świątek?
Well, if there's too much fuzz on the ball stops on this court and it sits up. And maybe as a clay court player, she would want that a little bit more. But what the U.S. Open tries to do is take the felt off the women's ball and make the court a little faster. They'll put more felt on the men's ball to try to slow it up, which obviously we saw last night cannot be done. They cannot slow the men's game down. But they can speed the women's game up. And for Świątek, who loves clay, that can be a problem. For Jabeur, who likes to slice, who likes the big first serve, who likes to come to the net, that can really help her.
I don't know if you've hit with these US Open women's balls. I assume you have, Jeff, because you work with a couple of the girls, but they fly off your racket, don't
Yes.
they? They absolutely fly. Świątek coming into this US Open series as well, and especially after Wimbledon, where we use one of the heaviest balls throughout the year, the Slazingers, it does take you a little while to get used to it, doesn't it? It's much hotter here as well, the lively hard courts. So you have to often adjust your string tension and maybe just even increase. I mean, she already hits with some of the most topspin in the women's games, Świątek, but maybe just had to increase that a little bit more. Just find that balance between flattening out where the ball is going to fly, getting a bit of extra spin, and then maybe just upping her racket tension a bit to try and gain the extra control that way. So maybe towards the start of the tournament there was a little bit of change each day, just as she was trying to figure it out and find, you know, the how she was most optimal, like most comfortable way for her to play. And I think, as we often see with Świątek, she gets into a stride as the tournament goes on.
Let me give you the conditions for today. Humidity is not a factor, it's 33%. Temperature-wise, it's hotter than it has been in recent days, 82 degrees Fahrenheit if you prefer it in Celsius. That is 28 degrees. I think with both these players, they bring so much, they bring so many differences. For Ons Jabeur, we've seen, 34 aces. She is naming winning 73% of her service games. Świątek, this game that's built on the foundation of speed, athleticism and incredible defence. I mean, it makes for a potentially, as long as the nerves hold, a mouth-watering final.
I love as well, it was after she met one of her heroes of the game, Andy Roddick, that those serve percentages went through the roof. I'm like, did Andy whisper her a few secrets there? He had one of the best serves of all time in our sport. But, you know, there was that really sweet video of her meeting him, and she was just kind of in awe, had so much respect for him. But the matches prior to that, sometimes her service percentages have dropped low. She was getting frustrated in her match against Tomjanovic as she wasn't able to consolidate her breaks. She had 2 or 3 breaks in that second set alone. Isla kept breaking her back, and then since then on, she's just been unstoppable, as you say, behind that serve.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible, and we should say, Rossa, just looking out the Arthur Ashe Stadium and seeing the people walk in, the amount of people I've seen with Iga spelt out, a letter on each T-shirt, and you're not meant to have flags, but I've seen quite a few Tunisian flags that have been stuffed up jumpers and crept inside. I think atmosphere-wise, these are two, and as Jeff said, maybe 18 months ago, people were thinking Iga Świątek, but Ons Jabeur, she is the status symbol for so many. They are two very popular characters.
Yeah, but you are right about how quickly they have risen, because I think we all thought we'd seen Iga Świątek win the French Open, the one that was played in October of 2020 because of the pandemic. But last year she was very, very consistent, and I think we thought, yes, she's going to be at the very top of the game, she's going to win more Grand Slams, but we didn't anticipate that it would happen so quickly and she would take to being world number one so quickly after the retirement of Ash Barty. And I think similar with Ons Jabeur, you wondered whether she'd always be wonderfully entertaining, but actually maybe she wouldn't be able to become a top 5 player even if she became a top 10 player, and we've rewritten her expectations completely now, and it seems to be just a question of when she wins her first Grand Slam title.
Really looking forward to this one. Ons Jabeur's in position. Iga Świątek, she's just sat down, she's taking her time. She took a stack of about 8 white towels, which she's now going to distribute in the 2 towel boxes that she has at the back of the court. It's going to be Iga Świątek to get us underway with the serve. This is the 2022 Women's Singles Final at the US Open. Crowds continue to make their way into Arthur Ashe. The sun is shining down. The stage is beautifully set. The number 1 against the number 2. The first set in the company of Naomi Brody, Jeff Tarango and Russell Fuller.
Thank you, Gigi. Always very special moments just before a Grand Slam final gets underway. And it will be the world number 1, Iga Świątek, who is going to serve first in a peppermint green dress to Ons Jabeur, wearing the headband and the orange and white dress, and it's the Tunisian who puts a forehand into the net. She's the first African woman in the Open era to reach the final of the US Open. 3 South Africans have reached Grand Slam finals in tennis history, but all have lost. So Jabeur could today become the first African woman ever to win a Grand Slam singles title. Forehand reply from Jabeur is over the baseline.
13 left.
And when we're talking about the adjustments players have to make, Russell, with the balls, when the temperature rises by 10 degrees, then there's a whole nother adjustment that has to go on. You know, so the first couple balls there, Jabeur hit very cleanly, but they both went 6 inches out. And that's also a part of when she warmed up, it was probably 70 degrees. Now it's 86 degrees, and that ball just flies a little bit. So both players have to keep adjusting as the match goes on.
An ace from Świątek, so an excellent start from her. And remember, she finished the semi-final by winning 16 of the last 20 points against Aryna Sabalenka as she recovered from 2-4 down deciding set. So picking up where she left off and serving now. Backhand reply from Jabeur, the backhand from Świątek. Jabeur's backhand cross-court. Świątek sliding across these hard courts. You can hear the sound. It almost sounds a bit like a squash court. Now she's coming in towards the net behind the forehand, and a bad backhand volley by Świątek. The first misstroke of this final so far by her, Naomi.
Both looking comfortable out there up until that final volley, actually, from Świątek. Finding lots of first serves. She hasn't missed one yet. It's always a good gauge as to how nerves are going. That serve when the racket head starts to feel heavy, either trying to close a match out or getting started. Always a good indicator.
40-15. Świątek serving. Slice forehand from Jabeur down the line. That's the creativity that we can expect from the Tunisian in this final today. The forehand from Świątek, cross-court into the back of the court. Świątek down the line with the forehand. Jabeur with time, slices her backhand. And a nice backhand down the line by Świątek. Terrific defence, though, by Jabeur, who's now hitting a drop shot, bringing Świątek in, and she's not going to miss that. Coming in very quickly indeed. Backhand cross-court, rather dismissive winner, and she holds to 15 in the opening game of the final.
And that wasn't the aggressive drop shot we usually see from us. Usually we see a disguise. She's in position attacking and then surprises with the drop shot. That was more of an I'm in trouble, let me slice this. Świątek playing that first game very aggressively, coming to the net. That's not her favorite place to be. Hard court isn't her favorite place to be, but she's making adjustments out there and trying to get a really good start and just front load this match.
I'm attempting, Jeff, to make a note on my notes. Make a note on my notes to keep stat of these drop shots. So
Okay.
that's played one,
Yes.
lost one.
Okay, thank you.
You said that was the important stat,
I think
right?
it is an important stat for Jabeur because that's something that she really throws a lot of ladies off with.
Jabeur is going to serve now down the tee. The backhand reply from Świątek. Wide Jabeur as she hits the backhand down the line. Johan Kriek is the only African male singles Grand Slam champion in the Open era. He won the Australian Open in 1981 and then switched to the United States, and I'm pretty sure he won it again 12 months later. So history beckons for Ons Jabeur, not just as an African but also as an Arab, putting a first serve into the net here. An Arab has won a Grand Slam singles title technically. I'll tell you more in a moment as Jabeur serves a double fault. It was Yaroslav Drobny, who was probably about as Arabic as me, if I'm honest. He was from the Czech Republic. He was born in Prague, but he found himself stateless. He fell out with the regime, and Egypt took him in, and he represented Egypt in the early 1950s and won a fair few Grand Slam titles. Forehand from Jabeur, that's more like it. Clean hitting, but great defense from Świątek. Świątek with a forehand cross-court. Jabeur on the run with a forehand, but she can't control it, and she finds herself love 40 down in her first service game of the 2022 US Open Women's Singles Final here on 5 Sports Extra on BBC Sounds.
I think a big thing for me as well is how Ons is going to deal mentally out there, because again in that match against Tomljanovic, I think it was the quarterfinals, also in the Wimbledon finals, she can get really down on herself.
3 break points. Świątek has managed to work this forehand even though it wasn't timed perfectly to the back of the court. She's coming forward and the pass is just wide from Jabeur. She quickly fires away the ball she will no longer need in this game because she's been broken to love, and an ominous start if you are Ons Jabeur, if you are hailing from Tunisia, if you're hoping to see a little bit of history today. She already trails the world #1 by 2 games to love.
And she took a little time there to go over to her box and have a little discussion with her coach. Just try to calm her nerves a little bit.
Terrific start by Świątek, the 21-year-old. Serving now to the forehand of Jabeur. Forehand Świątek hit powerfully down the line. The backhand by Jabeur. Backhand down the line Świątek. She's really moving Jabeur around. A short put away for Świątek. And you probably picked up how hard she hit that. Very short ball inside the service box, but thundered that forehand cross-court away.
Yeah, the power that has increased in Świątek's game in the last year has been incredible. Her forehand used to be her weakest shot. Now it's her best shot.
Świątek serving well. Forehand reply is a good one by Jabeur, and that is long by Świątek.
59.
Only the second point she's lost in the match so far.
Can't win them all.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Iga. It's okay. And she's not. She's just moving serenely into position and is ready to serve again at 15 all. 6 titles won in a row. The slice forehand return by Jabeur. Świątek is now just inside the baseline, and it's a forehand winner.
And the problem when playing against Świątek is she gives you no time, does she? I think we spoke to Jessie Pegula when she lost to her at the French Open, and she came off court, and she actually came up in the commentary box to speak to us the next day, Jessie, and she said, you just come off court feeling like what just happened. Not only, you know, each and every point, just this barrage of pace coming at you, but she plays pretty quickly between points as well.
30-15,
Yep,
Jabeur with the deep return, backhand from Świątek cross-court. Jabeur slices the backhand onto the sideline, down the line goes Świątek. Now inside the baseline again, Świątek, and onto the baseline with a forehand. Brilliant defence from Jabeur, who's now running and stretching for another forehand. Jabeur is going to be beaten now, though, as Świątek has a mid-court ball, and she's not going to miss that forehand.
Great margin by Iga in that point. Every ball 4 feet in, but just so hard that Jabeur could not get off defense, sliding into the corner. Great defense, but after that barrage.
Not quite able to neutralise, is she?
Not yet.
40-15. Only 7 minutes played. These are 2 game points for a 3-love lead in the final for Iga Świątek.
I just feel like Iga's just going to unload the whole truck on her here in the beginning of the set and see if she can just blast out in front. A good tactic to start.
Please.
Świątek ready to serve now. Backhand replies Jabeur, that's long. And it's 12 points to 2. And it's 3 games to love in favour of Świątek.
And as you say, Jeff, that's exactly what can happen. She comes out and she just steamrolls you at the start of the match, and it can cause a lot of players to panic because you're feeling like, I haven't really made all that many unforced errors out there. I mean, we're looking at the stats. On's hit 3 unforced errors so far in this match, only 1 more than her opponent. But as you say, she's barely won any points. Suddenly you're sat 3-love down. You've not even been on court for 10 minutes. And half a set's got away from you.
Yeah, and I was going to go off what you said also, Naomi. Pegula is one of the best counterpunchers out there right now. She's up to 7 in the world, and when she comes off the court and says, I was completely helpless, you know, that says a lot for the power that the pull is bringing into the game these days. And, you know, it's not like she's going crazy with the ball. All the balls are landing 2-3 feet in, and it just makes you feel like, what can I do?
I think she knows, because of the power that she plays with and the amount of spin and how heavy her shot is, Świątek. She knows she doesn't need those small margins, does she? Because even if she plays almost straight to her opponent, she's probably going to get a short ball. I saw a stat last year. Her average forehand speed was faster than the average forehand speed on the men's tour. That's how hard she's hitting the ball out there.
She breaks serve a ludicrous number of times. That's now 36 times in the championships, and that is often something you see. She tops all the returning stats, Iga Świątek, on tour, and quite often at a tournament wins over 50% of the opponent's service games.
Any seats, please.
And she's got a pretty decent serve of her own to back up those breaks. All in all,
these New Yorkers want a match.
They do. They have witnessed, if they were here early enough, for the 12 o'clock start, the mixed doubles final. Storm Sanders and John Peers of Australia winning that one 10-7 in a deciding match tiebreak against Kirsten Flipkins and Edouard Roger Vasselin, the Belgian and French combination. That was long from Świątek, and you can hear the encouragement for the crowd here Ons Jabeur, a very popular player, as you heard by the ovation she received, and also, as Jeff says, this is it for the tennis on the Arthur Ashe Stadium today. They may have plans for Saturday night, but they don't want Saturday night to begin just yet. It's only 25 past 4.
It's a haul to get out here, from whatever direction you're coming.
Don't bring the car, would be my advice. Backhand reply from Świątek to the backhand of Jabeur. Forehand cross-court Świątek. Jabeur with the forehand cross-court. Into the net with a forehand, Świątek.
13.
And I think for me that's a good matchup for Ons. That powerful forehand cross. She's one of the few women that can compete with the Świątek forehand. You know, she also likes to play with quite a lot of spin. She's got that really loose wrist on it, plays right round the outside of the ball, almost like attack your opponent's best shot.
She's worked Świątek out wide here, Jabeur, and she's landed that forehand on the baseline. Maybe a little bit closer than it needed to be, but the point is hers. And this is more like it, a blank slate, if you like, having lost the first 3 games.
Sometimes the best form of defence is attack, isn't it? Go attack the Świątek forehand before she's able to attack you off it.
Take the time away from that backswing.
Yeah.
3 game points for Świątek to open her account in this women's final of 2022 here in New York. Second serve after she puts the first serve into the net, and it's a double fault.
It's the best time in the world to double fault, Russell. It's 40 love. Yeah, it's the best time.
40-15. Good big serve down the middle. Fine backhand reply, though, by Świątek, and suddenly the castle is not looking quite so secure.
Almost looked like a cricket shot there by Jabeur, just trying to block the ball down.
Probably one of the sports she's never played growing up, I suspect. 40-30, second serve for Jabeur. Third attempt to close out the game. Backhand reply from Świątek. Backhand Jabeur. Świątek with a forehand. Push to the backhand of Jabeur. Backhand guided down the line by the world number 1. And a forehand has missed by Świątek. And Jabeur has her first game of the final.
They love an underdog here, but the camera just panning to a gentleman wearing traditional Tunisian outfit. He's got the hat and all. We saw him earlier with a drum. Here a mixture of French, Arabic, English from the box of Jabeur.
So you'll hear from her husband and fitness coach Karim. Her coach is Issam Jalali. She's been calling Karim Angry Bird because he doesn't hide his emotions well enough. But it was all said in a very light-hearted way. This is good court coverage from Jabeur and from Świątek. What a wonderful exchange at the net, which Świątek has somehow won. Her backhand cross-court volley dives just inside the sideline. The point of the match so far. And again, it's gone to the world number 1.
Great athleticism by both ladies there, using a double-handed volley, a half volley, a one-handed backhand volley. Looked like they just decided to play doubles by themselves there for a couple seconds.
It was actually a half volley, wasn't it? That flick cross-court by Świątek on the backhand. Brilliant shot. She has 15 love. Her backhand is onto the forehand of Jabeur. Świątek's forehand cross-court. Jabeur on the run, and it's a winner down the line on the forehand.
Big silent fist pump from Jabeur. I think she knows if she can just get her energy levels up a little bit, the crowd are going to feed off that. And as we're saying, this New York crowd, they want to see the match. If you go down in the scoreboard, they don't care if they were going to support you at the start of the match. They're going to get behind you.
Almost a good tactic if you weren't playing the world number 1, who's won her last 9 finals in straight sets. 15 all. Chipped forehand reply by Jabeur. Now she has time to hit the backhand, forcing Świątek just behind her baseline. Forehand down the line, Świątek. Backhand down the line by Jabeur. That's 2 stunning winners in a row.
Hey, you came all this way, you might as well go for it. Those last 2 points, she got caught up in the first 3 games trying to out-rally her opponent, and now she's saying, okay, anything that sits up, if I get off balance, if I'm out of the court, I'm just going to go for it.
15-30.
You don't normally see players change their tactics that quickly in a match, but it was necessary.
Świątek serving, forehand Jabeur. Świątek with the backhand, Jabeur now hitting powerfully, and it's a 3rd winner in a row. This the off forehand winner. 2 break-back points to Ons Jabeur.
I love all the custom T-shirts in the box of Jabeur as well. It says Yalla Habibi, which is it means "come on, my love" in Arabic, but it's what they often refer to Ons as is Habibi. All matching.
Nicely turned out in the box, and their player is doing them proud now. She's fighting back strongly in this match. Can she take one of these 2 break-back points? Forehand from Świątek. Jabeur with the forehand cross-court. Świątek cross-court. Jabeur miscues the forehand this time. So the streak of winners comes to an end, but she does still have 1 break-back point remaining.
And Iga's already shortened up her backswing on that forehand. That last point just kind of shoveled those forehands into the court, saying, I'm not going to miss this point. Let's see what you can produce. If you can hit 4 winners in a row, I'll just give it to you.
30-40. Świątek serves to the backhand of Jabeur. Forehand Świątek. Jabeur cross-court with the forehand. Forehand from Świątek. Big forehand Jabeur. She does have her 4 winners. They were briefly interrupted by the previous point. But what a response from Ons Jabeur, having lost 12 of the first 14 points of the final. She's broken back. We're back on serve with Iga Świątek leading by 3 games to 2.
Just seen on the big screen a shot of Matthew Perry coming up. You can hear the cheers of the crowd. Chandler from Friends, known to many by big smile. Out here enjoying the women's final, but they sometimes a bit slow to get to court, the New York crowd, but I would say it was about 90% capacity by the first game, but there's just still the final few seats of people coming on in. They've still only been on court just over 15 minutes.
Do you think Matt Perry minds being called Chandler from Friends? I suppose as an actor, he's thinking, I do have other roles in my locker, but at the same time, how many millions and millions of dollars has he earned?
Must be bittersweet, right?
It's like a band playing their famous #1 hit from 1977, time and time again.
I remember Ed Sheeran said, I think it was Ed Sheeran, he said, when people come to watch a concert, I will always do my old songs, you know, the really popular old songs as well. He's like, because, you know, if I went to watch a band, I'd want to hear those, you know, the favourite ones from when you were a teen and you still know all the words. He's like, so even when I'm touring with my newest albums, he said, I'll still do my old songs. So I feel like maybe it's the same for the actors. Surely you have to be so grateful for what the platform that Friends gave him.
And he was a pretty good tennis player. He was a top high school player in the juniors, but obviously he had some other avenues to go with and made the right decision, I might add. But yeah, no, he was a good high school player. You came to a lot of exhibitions in LA and stuff and played in pro-ams. And
so he's a knowledgeable spectator.
Yeah, and he was the am you wanted to play with because you knew you'd win it.
We are back on serve in this final here on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. 2-3. Ons Jabeur has missed the first serve there. A forehand reply now from Iga Świątek. Forehand from Jabeur right down the centre of the court. Slice backhand Jabeur. Świątek onto that very quickly, but netting with the forehand.
15. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I feel like when you play someone that uses that slice a lot, it gets worse actually, or tougher to deal with the longer the match goes on, because at the start you feel quite confident, your wrist is loose, you're playing free, you know, see ball, hit ball, and then as the nerves start to pick up and your wrist tightens up and you don't quite get down as low, your legs start to fatigue. I was going to say, with your frame, you have to keep bending your legs, right?
And we heard Świątek mention that before she came on, right? She said, I'm going to have to get my legs under the ball today.
15 love. It's a great return, this by Świątek. She's got a very short ball now, and you could almost see from her eyes there was no way she was missing that on the forehand.
59.
And it's turned into first strike tennis out here. You know, you think, okay, we're going to watch some women's tennis, and we're going to get some long rallies and all this placement and consistency. We're seeing some first strike hits.
15 all. Good serve from Jabeur. Very high backhand return has just landed in by Świątek. The bounce smashed from the baseline by Jabeur. More good defense from Świątek, who's on the back foot and now finds the passing winner. Backhand cross court from about 8 or 10 feet behind the baseline.
15-13.
Not quite doing enough there, Jabeur, with the approach, but she also didn't close the net down quick enough, so it meant Świątek had quite a lot of space on the pass. She wasn't even quite up to the service line, Jabeur, there on her approach.
Some shot though as Jabeur serves into the net. Second serve, backhand Świątek. Jabeur with the backhand wide, under pressure. That was the sound of her racket making contact with the court. It's 2 break points again to Iga Świątek, who has just managed to send it straight back at her. Straight back at Ons Jabeur after the Tunisian fought back and dominated the last game with those barrage of winners. Suddenly on the back foot again at 2-3, 15-40, and putting a first serve into the net. Second serve Jabeur, backhand Świątek, backhand from Jabeur. Świątek on the move, hits the backhand cross court. Now she's running onto a forehand, which she misses Świątek as she swings that one cross court.
I've just opened my notes app as well, Jeff. I realised Ons has still only hit the one drop shot. She hit the one unsuccessful drop shot right at the start of the match, and she's yet to hit a second yet. I'm waiting to make these great
maybe
stats
learned her
for you.
lesson from Wimbledon, where she just tried way too many of them.
Second break point for Świątek for a 4-2 lead. Forehand return, forehand Jabeur. Świątek's forehand. The forehand hit by Jabeur. That's caught the net, and Świątek had to adjust and play a slice forehand. The rally continues from the baseline. Świątek hammering the ball hard. Now she's got a very short ball to break. Forehand winner, right fist raised in celebration, having lost the break of serve. The world number 1 has immediately earned it back again, and she leads in this first set by 4 games to 2.
Yeah, and if you go by body language, Świątek's walking around very quickly around the court, very like I'm in command, and Jabeur shaking her shoulders, shaking her head, looking up at her box, like boxers. One person's just dominating the other, and they don't know what to do, trying to find her way. But she's got these flashes of brilliance. She has to stick with it.
Yep. And as I say, for me, that positive body language can really have an impact on her game for Jabeur. Something that she really needs to watch out there. Hopefully she can try and get on top of it.
4-2, Świątek leads. Another excellent first serve down the middle. Short put away for her. A backhand winner by Świątek. And just look at those first serve percentages. 94% for Świątek. And actually, that's probably one weaker part of Jabeur's game, isn't it? 50% of first serves in, and she's only won 13% of points on first serve in the entire match, 1 out of 8, which is a diabolical statistic if you're trying to win a Grand Slam title. But actually, I think she would say that she doesn't get enough first serves in play for a player of her quality, generally all year round on tour. If you look at the statistics, she's a long way down the list into the net this time from Świątek on the backhand.
And in the semi-final, she served so well.
She did.
She served in double
really
figures of
impressive.
aces, didn't she?
Yeah,
I
very
know
good.
Caroline Garcia was stood way inside the baseline. I think it kind of made the targets a bit bigger for Ons, but yeah, she needs to try and find that form again on the serve.
4-2, 15-all. That was a strategy that backfired for Caroline Garcia in the semi-final. Good serving, and Jabeur can only reach for that forehand and block it into the net. She was trying to be super aggressive, wasn't she? But the serving was too good, and Garcia was very, very nervous in a first Grand Slam semi-final.
Her dad as well was constantly signalling to her to step further and further, and I was thinking she's already 2 meters inside the baseline being aced.
Too late.
Thinking, get back.
30-15.
And then, like, the next match is Casper Ruud, where he's like standing behind the ball kid, right?
In the crowd.
We went out and watched the semi-final between Jabeur and Garcia actually in the stadium, because we decided not to do commentary on that semi-final, given it was just a few hours after the passing of Her Majesty the Queen. Forehand from Świątek, the backhand from Jabeur. Short ball for Świątek and hit into the corner, and she's just really giving no extra look to Jabeur here at all, making absolutely no mistake and making sure that Jabeur can't get a racket on the ball. And these are 2 game points for 5-2. And the point I was going to make was you could see how close Garcia was, and you could see that Jabeur was serving very decently, and just how good you had to be to make contact with and then time these service returns. 40-15. 4-2. Second serve for Iga Świątek after the first serve disappeared into the net. Second serve, backhand return Jabeur, forehand Świątek. Jabeur with the forehand cross court, that was hit very powerfully, and the volley from Jabeur is long. And Świątek holds.
New both place.
And leads by
Świątek leads
5 games to 2. And she really is looking the complete player again, the complete player that briefly disappeared in the middle of the season, but really, completely understandably, I don't care on which surface they've been playing, if you win from February until June, Doha, Indian Wells, Miami, Stuttgart, Rome and Roland Garros, then there's going to be a dip at some point,
fairly dominant, isn't it?
And the dip came on the grass, which I think is her least comfortable surface, isn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely least experience, and you see how she sets up her feet. Like, she's not prepared for a really fast hard court, and that's where she's done poorly also, is indoors, grass, but I mean, in her defense, how long can you keep the pedal on the metal?
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you won 9 out of 9 tournaments, would you take a break?
and she was being asked, wasn't she, while she was on that run? And there was, you know, because especially towards the end of it, as she started to overtake everybody and climbing towards the sort of longest streak of all time, she was being asked about it. And she was just saying, well, I know it's going to end at some point, so I'm just trying to focus on the match in front of me and trying my best to not even think about the streak, although it was the only question that she was being asked because it was just so incredible what she was doing.
But the pressure kept mounting and mounting and mounting. So maybe that's been good for her the rest of the season, as she did have a little bit of a lull where she wasn't the focus, and Honest became the focus and took the limelight off for a little bit, so she can maybe appreciate the fact that she's #1 in the world, because she never really earned it, did she?
Yeah.
You know, the number
Fell
one
into it.
The #1 Barty quit, and she became #1. It's like, oh my God! It's like you're vice president, you become president. It's like, wait a minute, I wasn't expecting this.
But then proved her worth with a series of far-reaching reforms in the first 4 or 5 months in office, to continue your analogy, Jeff. 2-5, Ons Jabeur is serving to stay in this first set of the US Open final on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sound. She's netting as she goes cross-court with a forehand. Naomi Brody and Jeff Tarango are here. And a reminder that Sports Extra is where you need to be tomorrow, again on BBC Sounds from 9 o'clock for the men's singles final between Casper Ruud and Carlos Alcaraz, with the winner the champion and the new world #1 come Monday morning. Jabeur serving, love 15 down. Block forehand reply from Jabeur, who's worked into a corner, but she's given Jabeur one more shot to hit. It was an awkward smash, which Jabeur would normally make. She's hit it into the tape, and it's bounced back on her side. And Świątek is 2 points away from winning the first set.
I don't think it helps that Ons plays at such a fast pace between points as well. She does it whether she's confident or not, but when stuff isn't heading your way, the match can just run away from you so quickly, and I think that's when she could maybe take more time. She is doing right now, just a few extra ball bounces as she waits for the crowd to quieten down.
Love 30, forehand reply Świątek, backhand cross-court Jabeur. Świątek with another lob. Jabeur smashes this one angrily and very cleanly to within a safe margin, about a foot or so inside the baseline.
I think it was a grass court event where Jabeur played with Serena Williams.
Yeah, Eastbourne.
Yeah, and they were quite good.
They were good. And I thought that showed a lot of the character that Ons Jabeur had, because how many players would be able to produce any sort of level of tennis playing alongside Serena? I'd be too nervous.
15-30, Jabeur slices her backhand. Świątek down the line with the backhand. Jabeur cross-court and into the net, and these are already 2 set points to end the first set of the final after 29 minutes as the clock stands. For a third break in 4 Ons Jabeur service games. Set point #1 for the world #1 for the 2-time and reigning French Open champion. Second serve Jabeur, she set point down, the backhand hit by Świątek, forehand cross-court Jabeur, Świątek's forehand, Jabeur with the forehand hit powerfully, on the defence is Świątek now, but she's working that just inside the baseline. Jabeur's backhand into the net, just being asked to do too much. There was a brief rally in which Ons Jabeur came storming back, having lost the first 3 games, but having won a couple of games and got back on serve. It has been one-way traffic again. Świątek winning 3 more games, a double break advantage as she closes out the first set. Naomi and Jeff by 6 games to 2.
What do you think, Jeff? What's Ons got to change?
I think you got to throw out the bathwater and come out with something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she tried. I said the drop shot before. She hasn't been able to hit the drop shot because my mom always told me, that guy's got a really good drop shot, so hit the ball this far from the baseline, then he won't be able to hit it. And it seems like that's what Świątek's doing, is taking her best shot away from her by using all this power. So maybe do the loop up highs. I've seen her do a lot of moon balls in the past. She has a pretty good heavy top spin ball. She hasn't tried it once.
Yeah.
And if she could get that, that'll slow the pace of the ball down, plus give a different angle coming back, and the drop shot comes more into play. So I would say that's the first thing. Also, that first serve percentage is so bad.
Yeah, both the serve stats.
Take something
First serve
off.
points won and first serve points in play.
Take something off that serve. Get some more angles off the court. Open up the court for yourself a little bit more. Don't keep trying to slug with someone that's slugging better than you.
28 points to 14 in the first set. That tells the story. 6-2 to Iga Świątek over Ons Jabeur in just half an hour. Other news from Flushing Meadows today: defeat for Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid in the men's wheelchair doubles final. They were beaten by a new pairing of Martin de la Puente of Spain and Nicolas Piffer of France, 10-6 in the match tiebreak, so they've been unable to win the doubles title.
But Alfie won the
in a
singles,
row.
right?
He's in the singles final tomorrow, correct.
Oh, okay.
He won his semi-final yesterday.
Always cheering for him.
He's some player. Can he get revenge over the world number one Shingo Kunieda, who's trying to complete the calendar Grand Slam? No wheelchair male player has ever done that. That is for tomorrow. That'll be part of Sunday's coverage from 9 o'clock. Right now, Gigi, are we going to see the best of Ons Jabeur, I wonder? Is she going to make this a final that we remember for decades and decades to come?
Well, we're hoping she will. Thank you very much, Russ. I was watching the first set out among the fans. There's a wonderful atmosphere. There's wonderful support for both players. But all I kept thinking was 9-0 in finals. And the other thing, she's not lost more than 4 games in a set in those 18 consecutive sets. I mean, the mindset of someone to get to that stage and to be as ruthless she is frightening.
It's almost like she knows that her opponent's going to be that little bit more tight. Their ball's going to land ever so slightly shorter, maybe a little bit slower with the racket head speed, and she just takes complete advantage, doesn't she? There's just no slowing down for Świątek.
Świątek, because she broke at the end of the first, starts at the beginning of the second, and it's the second serve. She has to step back from a deep return from Jabeur. Down on her haunches, she hits that forehand, and then she spins that ball up the line, Świątek, and then she slides. You heard the squeak of her shoes. Clips top of the net from Jabeur, backhand cross court. Jabeur has to now squeak and slide into the forehand, and then it's wide from Świątek, stepping inside the baseline. There's a roar, and I think there will be every time Jabeur, Jeff, takes points early stages of the second set.
Yeah, and it was good aggressive tennis. She took that second serve early from inside the baseline and backed Świątek up off the baseline. Found a way in the first point to keep her opponent from being aggressive.
Iga Świątek, just 21 years of age, won 90 matches since the start of 2021, 6 titles this year, looking for a 55th match win. You've spoken about that unbeaten run she went on. It's quite phenomenal how physically and mentally she has risen to the challenge and embraced being number one. Deep serve, second serve, taken early from Jabeur. Jabeur has to step back, the backhand, double-handed cross-court, double-hand up from both. The slice, the drop shot attempt from Jabeur ends in the net, and she crouches down on her haunches as if to say, just go over.
Yeah, just get it over. It was the right time to do it. Maybe she could have been a foot farther in, but she's got to press that shot, get the rhythm of it, respecting her opponent's speed maybe a little too much.
15 all, first game, second set. First set, if you're just joining us on 5 Sports Extra, was 6-2 in favour of the world number one, Iga Świątek. And the serve does the job on that occasion. Powered it down.
Jeez, I think she got hit with that serve.
Jabeur takes a deep breath, gets into position, wide stance, leaning forward. 30-15. The world number one, Świątek, reaches up and serves. Very deep serve again, slight miss hit, drops short and overhits the forehand, Świątek.
30.
Had too much time there for that forehand.
Yeah, it's that mix-up of rhythm, though, isn't it? Again, which, as you say, Ons hasn't really been able to implement right now. I don't know whether it was accidental, but definitely had a bit more height there. Sat up on Świątek, got up above her shoulder.
35 minutes on the clock, 4:51 in the afternoon, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. A bit of a breeze, nice conditions out there. Serve down the tee, the off backhand is wide from Jabeur, who just sort of jumps up and down. Frustration, wanting that return a serve back again. It's game point.
And I kind of as what we're saying as well, Świątek, she doesn't allow her opponents to get back into the match either, does she? Once she's ahead, you're under pressure to keep the ball away from her, to keep your margin small. You feel like you can't just get the ball back into play to try and find some rhythm, because she's going to dominate you.
She went deep into the body of Jabeur, but she missed. Twist the racket in the right hand, Świątek, before bouncing it with the face of the racket. And Jabeur steps inside the baseline, left foot a little bit further forward, swaying, waiting to take advantage of anything that might be short. She slices the backhand, drops over, double-handed backhand through the middle of the court, backhand down the line from Jabeur. It's game point for Świątek. Forehand cross-court very deep from Jabeur, who gets a short ball. She's approaching the net, she plays the off forehand, she has the put away, she gets the put away.
That's the fight this crowd wants to see. And now more than ever, Jabeur is the underdog, and that's what New Yorkers love, is the underdog. So you can hear the crowd getting more and more in to those points that she's winning, and that was a point with style.
She just needs to hit the point, doesn't she, as well of, I've got nothing to lose. I've lost the first set anyway. I may as well just go for it. I've got, just go out there and go for it. You're in the final.
Deuce. First game of the second set, as Naomi said, the US Open Women's Final. Backhand line. Oh, that was perfect from Świątek.
Advantage. Świątek.
It's a good catch by that fan, too.
And that's a memento.
Nice little souvenir.
Yeah. Wide stance from Jabeur, leaning right the way forward, straight back, leaning across, looking up, racket still. Świątek serves out wide, double-handed backhand up the line, the squash shot, forehand, cross-court from Świątek. Świątek now flattens out the forehand, deep she goes, and it comes back with a little bit of bite from Świątek. But Świątek somehow soaks it up, absorbs it, redirects it, finds the line, wins the point, takes the game.
First game.
She's on the board, 1-love set 2.
Just not affected right now, Świątek, by the pace of shot that's coming at her. We saw in those 2 games that she managed to win in the first set. Again, just completely free up. Yes, she was going for more low percentage shots, but she was really trying to take control of the rally early, not out-rally Świątek from the back of the court. Right now, she's just not able to add that much speed onto her shots, that Świątek isn't able to take the ball early and direct it wherever she wants.
And Świątek's playing better defense when Ons is stepping up and hitting the ball hard. She's making her do it 4 or 5 times instead. The rest of the tour maybe can only make her do it 1 or 2 times in a point. And that defense from the Polish player is really wearing her down as well.
And I like the routine from Świątek. She will take her time. Jabeur is there. She's pacing at the back of the court, bouncing the ball, waiting. Świątek is working to the time, but she is not being rushed. She is now ready. We will carry on. First point, second game, second set, but it just gives Jabeur that little bit more time to think. The crowd finally settles. The movement continues in the upper bowl of the stadium. The point is underway. The slice cross court from Jabeur, the double-handed backhand mid-court from Świątek. Clips the net from Jabeur, slows down. The backhand up the other wing from the Tunisian, who now opens up the forehand, goes very deep, but finds the line. She goes on the angle. The squash up from Świątek. A good weight of shot from Jabeur.
Much better. And immediately Świątek's on the back foot, and it's so tough to neutralise then when Ons finally doing what Świątek is doing to her. As we were saying, it's tough to neutralise because again you've got that quick pace coming back at you, and it's really difficult to try and find your feet mid-rally.
Jabeur misses out wide, so Świątek's now won 19 straight sets in finals, and she has not dropped more than 4 games in any of those 19 sets.
Well, that's just a stat Jabeur doesn't want to see.
Hopefully that wasn't part of the pre-match team talk. So a few things you need to know.
That's not what her sports psychologist was telling her right before going out on the court.
No, that is a do not mention this. But maybe she heard because she double faulted there. 15 all. Settles herself. The crowd settles. It's 3 in a row into the net. Ball girl scurries past Jabeur, scoops up that loose ball, takes her position at the back of the court. The court is covered in shade. The serve down the tee, the off-back, that's a beauty from Świątek.
Still just struggling behind those serves.
15-30.
It's just not enough. And that's the whole thing about these slams. Everybody plays great in 1 or 2 of the matches, but can you maintain that kind of serve?
Work to do here for Jabeur. Plays the off forehand. She keeps on the forehand. She goes inside and down on her haunches, and deep goes Świątek. She's been so aggressive, Świątek, as she always is. She redirects up the line. Backhand cross court from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand. She's trying to stay up on the baseline. Jabeur, she draws the error and she levels things up at 30-all.
I'm trying to not only look at how hard they're each hitting the ball as well, but also the depth they're each getting in these rallies. And again, better there from Jabeur, getting it closer to the baseline, not allowing Świątek to take the ball quite as early. Having Świątek be a little bit more reactive rather than just dictating, as we were saying earlier.
Good point.
30-all. It's a huge game, this, for Jabeur. The forehand sneaks over, going cross-court. It's deep, and it's backhand through the middle from the Tunisian. It's the off-forehand into the corner from Świątek, who's peppering the backhand of Jabeur, who goes down the line. The forehand spins cross-court so deep from Świątek. She's spinning that ball. She's moving it left to right. She goes cross-court. Oh, and Jabeur gets it all wrong with the attempted drop shot. She drops her racket in frustration, and it is break point for the world number one.
30-14.
And that's trouble in paradise. To be down break point at this point in the match, she had to keep it even till at least 3-all to put any kind of pressure on the pole. And just, she knew it as soon as she made contact with it, it just wasn't good. It's like when you miss a putt, you're just like, oh, I know I missed it right when you make contact. Ah.
Thank you.
Do you miss a lot of putts, Jeff?
No, I don't.
Can't relate.
Break point is Świątek, who returns with this heavy forehand of hers. She stretches to the backhand, is into the net, and the break point is saved.
You know what I can't do is I can't keep it out of the water. If there's any water on the course, my ball's going in there.
Well, at least you don't live in Florida.
Right, where there's a lot of water.
Juice. Silent crowd, a packed crowd. There's a few spare seats dotted around, but not many. Best two players of the year, the form players, up against each other inside the baseline, being aggressive. Jabeur's at the net, and that's a good point. Starting off with a wide serve, then switching the angle, winning the point.
And interesting, Świątek going over to her area in the box, and we saw last night when the players went over there, their crowd was just screaming, yelling at them, all kinds of things. There was 9 coaches talking at once. Not one person in that Polish box moved a muscle just now.
Serve down the tee. It is game points for Jabeur. What a big hold this would be. Oh, she took the pace off the forehand, went cross-court Jabeur into the tram lines, and the game continues.
Which leads me to believe that we know who the CEO of that group is.
I also think it's really good that there's no change-up for Świątek regardless of the match in the tournament, and maybe that helps her when she gets to the backhand because there's just 4 people sat in her box. It's exactly the same team as was there in her first round. There's no extra sponsors, extra family and friends haven't flown out. You know, it's just business as usual. And as you say, pretty calm energy from them as well. You know, it's not like panic trying to communicate extra messages over. Just leave her out there. She's doing her thing.
Daniil Medvedev's like that. He has his wife, if she's there, Gilles Savard, his coach. Sometimes Gilles Savard's wife, who works as a sports psychologist, maybe an agent, but that's it. Clips the top of the net from Świątek. It slows down. Cross-court for Jabeur. The court is open. Oh! She went to play the volley. She was heading it behind her. She drops the racket. She slides to the floor. And it's break point to the world number one once again.
I almost think, Jeff, she wants it too much on. Do you know what I mean? Like
those approach shots, it's almost like she's trying to hit it hard, but she's too tight to swing through it.
And that was my feeling at Wimbledon as well. She wants the slam so much that it prevents her from putting her best game out there.
Advantage. Świątek.
She's up, back and ready, and with a second break point to defend in the second game of the second set. First set 6-2 Świątek. Jabeur with the first serve, she gets it. It comes back through the middle of the court. She approaches the net. Jabeur, she slightly hesitated, but she plays the volley. And here goes Świątek to finish it off. She had an open court, but she threaded the needle down the line. She wins the point. She takes the game, and she leads by a set and 2 games to love.
And you saw it, Jabeur there go for the drop volley when she got to the net, but she was overpowered by it. Wasn't quite able to get it short enough, and the #1 player in the world pounced on it.
But how confident she had the open court, but she threaded that needle.
You said, Jeff, what did you say? 10 or 12 drop shots.
She needs to win.
Or a match?
A set.
A set. She's played 4 in the entire match so far, and she's lost all 4.
Oh, these are tough times for Jabeur, who's moved from 5 to 2 in the world rankings. She will be the world number 2 at the start of next week when the new rankings come out. She's won 44 matches this year. She's picked up 2 titles this year, Madrid and Berlin. First serve into the net from Świątek, who has 54 wins and 6 titles for 2022, together with that astonishing unbeaten run that she went on. Looking to put pressure on the second serve, Jabeur. She's inside the baseline. She comes forward. She plays the off backhand into the corner. The forehand spins and it pushes Jabeur back. Jabeur trying to keep that place on the baseline. Jabeur moves the backhand. She floats that, sits up and just misses the inside-out forehand. Świątek set herself up for it.
No, 15.
And an unforced error. Wow, I don't know what to say.
No, we haven't seen many of those off the racket of Świątek today.
Where are we? 46 minutes on the match clock in this final. Świątek pauses, waits, reaches, tosses the ball, rocks back, serves out wide, backhand from on the baseline. Jabeur, it's flipped cross court, and then the weight of shot there from Świątek just didn't know how to deal with it, Jabeur.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can consider that a drop shot
I think that was a drop shot attempt.
Okay.
It felt like she was caught in 2 minds, and she almost changed her mind at the last minute.
And just losing what she wants to be doing out there, losing confidence in her tactics.
And the mind can get clouded, and do you stick to your plan? Do you change it? How do you change it? Forehand flip, cross court and wide. Another unforced error off the racket of the Polish player.
30.
Świątek gathers the balls, gathers 2. She's got one tucked in the shorts on the left-hand side under her skirt. She has the one she's going to use. Has 25 seconds to get the ball away. 15:30, little opening here for Jabeur to try and get the break back, as some spectators, they can't contain their either excitement or frustration.
It's that guy that brought the bongo with him. He's getting a little excited.
Please,
I think we need to take his bongo from him in that case.
For both players.
He is silenced. 15:30. Świątek serves, that's a very deep serve. It's a mid-court return, the off forehand into the corner, the backhand cross-court from Jabeur, redirects up the line from Świątek, very deep from Jabeur for the forehand, and now plays a backhand cross-court, drops it a little bit shorter. That one stopped short. The drop shot from Jabeur, she leapt into the air as she hit it. The end result, the net was found, and it's 30 all, and the window of opportunity slammed shut.
She's trying to find that drop shot a bit more, isn't she, but just not executing it.
And just the fundamental is wrong. You can see jumping off the court, leaning backwards, and then trying for the lowest percentage shot.
Is this tension? Is this nerves?
Yeah, it's just maybe she didn't practice it enough in this heat or against that kind of ball.
30 all, the forehand cross-court, and another forehand cross-court from Jabeur. Jabeur still on the forehand side, then puts it down the line, getting good depth on these shots. She's keeping her place. She goes inside in. Jabeur still on that baseline, pushing Świątek as far back. The squeak of the shoes from Świątek. The net found by Jabeur. And interestingly, I was wandering around up in the stands just before the start of the match, and I'm talking about 15, 20 minutes before they were called, and Jabeur was out on the practice court.
Still
20 minutes before the players were called.
Huh.
Maybe just wanting to get a last-minute hit in just to even get some nerves out.
I was going to say, burn some nervous energy.
But that's rarely see that, do we?
In this kind of heat, I don't think that's what you should be doing.
Game points for the consolidation of the early break for the world number 1. Świątek serve out wide, the backhand is good, and she spins around and goes inside in Jabeur. They were the shoes of Świątek, and again as she slides into that ball, the backhand cross-court from Jabeur down the line. Oh, and she nails it, Świątek. Everything she touches at the moment is turning to gold. Jabeur was stranded in no man's land. That's the point and the consolidation of the second set break to lead not only by a set, but also by a break and 3-love. Jeff Tarango.
That's called comfortable lead. It's a very comfortable lead, but she was up 3-0 in the last set, and it got back to 3-2. We'll see what Jabeur does mentally to try to regroup, but now Świątek's in the sprint part of this match, Naomi, and She just needs 12 points to win the title.
Yeah, and she's absolutely rattling through them off so quickly, isn't she? And a point like that where Jabeur's in control, she's played a good point, it really affects that inner feedback that you give to yourself, because she's going to be questioning now, did I play that point the right way? Maybe I shouldn't try and approach the net. She's actually hit a really nice approach backhand cross court, very aggressive. But again, Świątek just coming up with a winner down the line, smack on the line, and you kind of think, well, is it me? Is it my opponent? Do I need to change something? Should I be standing at the back of the court? Maybe I shouldn't play to Świątek's backhand. Maybe I should. You know, you start to question everything. You lose belief in your tactics, in what you're trying to do out there, and you panic. And for me, that's what Ons is doing. And it's a similar energy that's coming from Ons as we saw in that Wimbledon final of just, she wants it almost too much. It's like desperation. She has to believe that she'll be back there again in future. If it's not today, it will come, because she's almost paralysing herself from producing her best tennis.
And while part of the pre-match talk wouldn't have been about this wonderful record that Świątek has in finals, Jabeur would have known about it, know how strong she is when she gets to the final stage. How likely is it that Świątek, with this kind of lead, is going to have a wobble? We just look at those sets. She hasn't until this point.
She doesn't wobble.
Doesn't wobble. At this stage, doesn't wobble.
She's not jelly.
No, she's set firm.
You guys are making me think of too many things at once right now.
Well, that's what
I'm
we
going
think.
to completely stay out of this conversation.
That's what we think Jabeur's going
well, you
through.
don't
There's
call it
too
jelly,
much.
you call it jello.
I'm thinking of the rap song, My Money Doesn't Jiggle Jiggle, It Wiggle
Okay, yeah,
Wiggles.
that's Louis Theroux.
I don't know what you two... Now, you two have gone to your own place. That I don't know what you're talking about.
Louis Theroux did a rap.
Did he?
Yeah. Okay, those were some of the lyrics.
Okay.
Were they?
Nicely rapped by Jeff.
Memorable.
Thank you.
Okay. Well,
You
let's
like
see.
that part of the song?
Let's see if any wobbling is going to take place. So far, the only wobbling has come from Ons Jabeur. She is a breakdown. She is a set down in the final. Świątek, the backhand deep and double-handed from the pole, who's just patrolling this baseline, and then just slightly off balance. Jabeur into the tram line. She hangs her head. There's the furrowed brow, the confusion on the face of Ons Jabeur right now. She's now up the end of the box of Iga Świątek, so
Not sure what's going
you
on
can
at all.
do the coaching, but you've got to be at the same end as your player, so there'll be no chitter-chattering that you'll hear in its handful of games.
She just looks like she's in a theater that she didn't really know what movie she went to.
Jabeur sits up nicely for the backhand cross-court for Świątek. Świątek with the backhand, too deep. 15-all.
15-all.
Jabeur takes a couple of deep breaths. She's wearing shorts, but she's got grey shorts under her red shorts. She's got the extra ball tucked in there. She leans forward. She's got the white sweatband, keeping the black hair off her face and in place. And she serves, but she nets on the follow-up off the return. So just doesn't seem to move her feet.
And
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a stat here as well. In Jabeur's semi-final against Garcia, she won 83% first serves.
And it's the first
On
time this
Jabeur.
season she didn't face a break point.
Yeah. So it's a massive drop-off here in the final, whether that's nerves or just sometimes the difference in opponent down the other end putting that extra pressure on your serve.
And sometimes you play that well, and you go
Points.
back out the next match and just expect to play that well
Peak too
again.
soon.
Yeah, and
Service motion, be
you
quiet.
take it
Thank
for
you.
granted.
So there was a noise during the service motion. We had the double fault from Jabeur, break points here, and Iga Świątek will be well and truly in the home straight. Points for 4-love in the second. Serve out wide, the forehand is there. We talk about possibly Jabeur peaking too soon. At the moment, we are seeing peak Świątek out there on the Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yeah, but that's the first time we've seen Jabeur take a lot of pace off that one. 94-mile-an-hour out wide serve, and Świątek netted it.
Another break point to save here, Jabeur. Jabeur serves. That's a good serve. The stretch on the backhand into the middle of the court, inside in to win the points and juice. And the more points she can win like this, the more the crowd will get into it. And maybe she can settle herself in. Sounds crazy saying settle yourself in after 54 minutes and a set and a breakdown, but it is never too late to start a comeback.
Absolutely not.
Especially on the WTA Tour. Usually the match doesn't start till it's a set and a break.
Thank you.
That's when all the drama gets going.
Do we have any drama to come here? Juice. Jabeur nets on the first serve. Ballboy scurries across. Scoots to the back of the court by the match clock that now reads 55 minutes and 5 in the afternoon. That's a soft second serve, but the point is underway. It is juice. It is 3-love for Świątek. They go backhand to backhand with the double handers. The squeak of the shoes. Up the line goes Świątek. Into the net goes Jabeur. Break point opportunity number 3.
Looking at the total winner count, the unforced error counts are actually quite similar. On's having only hit 2 more of those, but the total winner count, Świątek almost double the amount. Just been so aggressive out there.
Jabeur sets herself, reaches up wide as someone yell. I know she won the point, but what makes someone in the crowd yell at that point?
Once
They
again, that is
just
an
not
advantage.
Overexcited.
Yeah.
During the
just
serve.
Not
don't
used to
know.
watching tennis specifically. Because most other sports you can yell whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there are any other sports you have to be as silent as you do in tennis.
Snooker? Do you say it as snooker? Into the net, the cry of alley was coming loud and clear from the Jabeur box, and she has game point.
Maybe she just needs to hit rock bottom, Jabeur. She's completely gone into herself right now, hasn't she? She's just being silent, and there's no emotion coming from her, positive or negative.
She can get a game on the board here. There'll be a roar from the crowd. She serves down the tee. She is going to get that game. She comes from 15-40 down. She holds serve, and she is on the board. The Tunisian fans are delighted. There is still a long way back for their player, but at least she's on the board in this second set. Świątek by break in 3-1.
Świątek's blaming her wristband for that one. She went over and changed it.
Do you think Jeff Ash Barty and Świątek would have been the head-to-head rivalry? Would Ash Barty have rivaled Świątek at this sort of level?
Yes. Yeah, and because she does loop the ball. She has a great slice backhand. Her serve is very effective. She doesn't have matches where she serves 56%. Or she didn't.
Yeah. 3-1, serve out wide. Snap back to the feet of Świątek, who doesn't catch that, and the first point of game number 5 goes to the Tunisian.
Would have been a nice rivalry. Would have been a nice rivalry. My 12-year-old just texted me and he says, "Dad, you got the line wrong. It's not my money doesn't jiggle. It's my money doesn't jiggle. It folds."
Yeah, because it's not coins, it's notes.
Yeah.
Get it, Gigi?
Well, yeah, but okay. Love 15.
Good job to your son.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Well
for
done,
correcting,
Jessie.
helping
Well done.
Dad out
correcting
there.
your dad. I've got that to come. Mine are too young to correct me yet. Clips the top of the net and drifts long. So Jabeur signals her intent by stepping inside the baseline to try and put pressure on this second serve of the world number 1. Love 15. Second serve sits up the backhand cross court. The point is underway. Deep and down the line goes Świątek, who squeaks those shoes and goes cross court with the forehand. Wide from Jabeur.
15.
Just getting a shot of Caroline Wozniacki and Tracy Austin. Caroline Wozniacki pregnant with her second child?
Yeah, and she does not even look like she's pregnant, and she's due relatively soon, actually.
You don't either.
In the next month or
if I may
so.
say.
Yeah, I'm way behind her, don't worry, Jeff.
Okay.
It's coming.
Going down the line from Jabeur. The forehand cross court from the Tunisian clips the side edge of the sideline, and all counts, and it's 15-30.
15.
Nice shot there, pulling the angle. Forehand, instead of trying to go deep, pulled that ball near the service line. Very tough shot to retrieve. Smarter play by Jabeur there.
You'll get some roar if Jabeur can muster up some break points here. She is a breakdown, she is a set down. Nearly an hour on the match clock. Świątek says, misses, went deep and big and into the body on the first serve. Yeah, the feet, the ball boy, who's retaken his spot at the back of the court. Silence, finally, within the Arthur Ashe Stadium. Oh,
Please spoke to.
That's so annoying.
Yeah,
Right as she started her motion.
I'll just turf them out.
I would.
Yeah, I'll just turf them out. Jabeur's inside the baseline. The serve is deep. The forehand is snapped back on the off forehand. It clips the top of the net and it drips back over. The first bit of frustration and annoyance we've seen from the face of Świątek, and opportunities now for Jabeur to get us back on serve in the second set.
And I think the fans are doing it to try and distract the players, but I mean, at least it's happening both ways. You can say that if nothing else.
Yeah, and what would Billie Jean King say? I mean, she has you played her World Team Tennis where they just let the fans go crazy,
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Shout out during the points. You can get up and wander around.
Spill your beer on your head if you want to.
And when you're used to it, it actually doesn't distract you when it's constantly going on. It's when it's completely silent and just one person yells out that you suddenly notice it.
Second serve, break points, Jabeur to break back inside the baseline, the Tunisian. The second serve from Świątek goes down the tee, the backhand through the middle of the court, the backhand slightly on the angle from Świątek, who steps back into a backhand cross court, the backhand down the line from Jabeur. The forehand up the line with some spin on it, comes back mid-court, she's approaching Świątek, she's at the net, she plays the volley. Here comes Jabeur, the volley is into the net! And we see the energy of Jabeur as she trots back to her bench. She is pumping her fist. And there's the roar from the crowd because we have a game on our hands in this second set because Jabeur breaks back. We are back on serve 3-2 Świątek.
It's what we wanted to see, isn't it? We want to see a contest out there. So did the crowd, but more than anything, I just want to see Ons put her best tennis out there. She hasn't been able to so far, but again, maybe just completely sinking into herself, just almost hitting rock bottom emotionally, as you say, just finally just freeing herself up. I think that's some of the best tennis we've seen from her in those last two games, but a little bit, after saying she doesn't wobble, a little bit of a wobble from Świątek, a few sloppy points from her.
But again, ladies, it's a photocopy of the first set. I mean, it was 3-0, 3-2. You know, this next game to me is the whole match. I think the one who wins this next game, Gigi, will win the match because that person is then going to have the momentum. And both players right now are thinking about, well, I don't want this. Jabeur is thinking, I don't want the same thing to happen.
So your call is if Jabeur comes out and holds serve, she wins the match.
She comes back. She comes back. Yep.
Good call. Okay.
There's Billie Jean.
Just being shown to the crowd on the Jumbotron. I call it a big screen, but it's not, you have to call it a Jumbotron when you're in the States, don't you? Yes. Sorry. She's waving to the crowd.
She's so well loved, Billie Jean King. As you say, Jeff, we played that season of World Team Tennis. I played a couple seasons for the Philadelphia Freedoms, which is Billie Jean King's team, and it was just amazing to see as we went around Philadelphia. We met the mayor one day, and you know, she gets all the school kids in by the busload from the less privileged areas to come in and watch the sport, and it's a really nice way for them to get into tennis because, as Jeff was saying, you don't have to sit there in silence. So for the kids, it's way more interesting. They can get up and wander around and chat and scream and yell, but just to see how loved Billie Jean King is and the impact that she's had not only in tennis but just across the nation in general. It's fantastic.
And you play at night, so then you're hitting with the kids in the morning.
So this is this big game now. Jabeur is broken back to get us on serve. She's down 2-3, but it is on serve, and she's serving now. And Świątek goes up. Now their respective team camp ends, so they can have a little chitter-chatter and muttering if they so wish.
Well, there's a lot of chitter-chatter coming from the Jabeur box. I think those are just cardboard cutouts in Świątek's box. I haven't seen him move. I haven't seen him move the whole match.
15 love. 2-3, a second set, just joining us. Iga Świątek did the first set, 6-2. Jabeur nets.
If and when you work with a player, Jeff, would you go off kind of the player's energy on court? Would you know, in terms of being
like,
on the court side, does it differ depending on who it is?
Coach Maria from the side of the court, and you have to just be silent. And then coaching Eunice Elanawi, he wants you to just get up and go crazy. He wants that ruckus around. So it's you go with what the player likes is what you do. That's your role.
Good clean backhand for Jabeur. She gets a short ball. She goes across. She's getting good depth on these balls. Jabeur, she makes her way forward. Will she have to hit the final shot? No, she won't. But she kicks the ball away, showing off her football skills, which are pretty good. And she moves to 30-15.
Well, that's a great way to loosen up, isn't it? To start kicking the ball around, get your own little thing going on out there.
And as she said before she went on the court, to just be herself out there.
Want to be me.
And doing stuff like that, having a little kick around with the football. She's just starting to relax.
30-15. Jabeur misses,
that was
but not by much.
She needs a hold here, doesn't she?
Yeah.
This is the game she wasn't able to get on the scoreboard in that first set after she came back from 3-love to 3-2.
Serve out wide. Oof! And Świątek says, if you're going to take it off the second serve and put it in like that, I'm going to do that off the return.
Moved around it well. I actually thought it was a good attempt at a body serve there, just didn't have enough pace behind it. Świątek moving around the forehand, preferring to take it as the backhand, taking it up the line.
This is a massive point now, 30 all. Serve out wide, the forehand's in play, the backhand is swung through the middle of the court. Świątek screeches to a halt, it's like she put the brakes on. Then she goes forehand cross court. They're battling from the back of the court. Świątek's further back on the baseline. The backhand is placed down the line from Jabeur. Jabeur with a double-handed backhand cross court. The backhand cross court, lovely angle, winner from the world #1 for break point.
And that was the hardest, flattest angle I've seen in a long time. She was right in the middle of the court, and it landed a foot before the service line. That was a tough shot to attempt and make. What a point to do it on.
Break point. For 4-2 in the second set, leading by a set to love. Jabeur needs this first serve. She gets it, it goes deep. The forehand spins back, it's placed up the line. It's snapped back into the centre from Świątek. Świątek goes forehand. That one sits up, it's floated back up the line from Jabeur. Hits the forehand cross court on the angle. The forehand cross court, too much on that. She lets it fly, Świątek, and the break point saved.
And their first serve percentages have started to even out a little bit. Świątek from the first set, she's dropped off by about 10%, and Onza's upped hers by about 10%.
A moment of truth, Gigi.
Taking her time. It's juice. Serve down the tee, the forehand back through the middle, the backhand up the line, and the squeaky forehand cross court from Świątek. Takes some pace off that Jabeur. The forehand is crunched up the line from Świątek, who sets herself with this forehand. Oh,
that went in?
Perfect.
Did that go in?
It did.
Woo! Świątek.
She could see her setting herself up, and she took a rip and a cut at that ball.
Well, we're saying she doesn't need to play with those fine margins, but she's hit enough lines out there today as well.
Break point #2 in this game, which is game #6 of set #2, as Jabeur serves down the tee, the forehand snap back, the backhand cross court, and the squeaking and the sliding from Świątek. She thinks it's clay sometimes. She goes deep with that forehand. Another forehand from Świątek. They're getting heavier and harder. She gets a mid-court ball, backhand up the line. The forehand slap cross court from Jabeur, then up the line. Jabeur with a double-handed backhand cross court. Great defences from Jabeur. Listen to the squeak of Świątek. She draws the error. She gets the point. What a point for Iga Świątek. She just doesn't let it go. Point, game, break, 4-2 second set.
Świątek leads.
Now we're seeing some Polish flags being thrown around.
Lots of Polish flags, lots of Tunisian flags, and then you see the security guards come up and say, excuse me, no flags, can you please put them back in your pocket? But they sneak them back out again. As I say, lots of football shirts being worn. You can see red dotted throughout the crowd. Of course, red for the Polish flags, red for the Tunisian flags. Yes, got big fan bases already, haven't they?
Certainly have, and you have to take your hat off to Iga Świątek. You really do. Nerves of steel. Was it a wobble? Maybe that was just a mirage, and it wasn't a wobble at all. Backhand cross court from Świątek. Świątek screeches. The drop shot doesn't make it. How many times have we said that in this final from Ons Jabeur? And she is 2-4, love 15 down, and a set down.
15.
It's the 6th drop shot she's lost the point on in this second set, 7th overall in the match. I think it's a positive that she's trying to play them more. Again, I think that plays into her being relaxed and trying to be herself out there. It's what she said she was going to do before she went out onto the court, but just not executing them yet.
15 love, 4-2. Iga Świątek dropped 2 sets on her way to this particular final against Julia Niemeyer. Really hard-hitting German in the round of 16. I lost the first set to Arina Sabalenka in the semi-final. She was 2-4 down in the third set. Świątek able to turn it round and reach her 3rd Grand Slam final. She's 2 from 2, looking to make it 3 from 3 when she gets to the final stage, but she double faults and she immediately turns her back to the court and resets herself.
I'd love to just see Ons be able to stay within touching distance of her, just so there's that little bit of scoreboard pressure trying to close the match out. It is a championship final. Positive confidence. I speak that much French.
A couple of LAs thrown in.
You could get that one, huh?
Serve out wide, the forehand slap back, nearly knocked Jabeur over. Jabeur settles herself with the forehand. The squash shot from Świątek is netted, and that little window opportunity opens just a little bit at 15-30.
I think that's the one French word I never understood.
Positive.
Patience. Positive. What?
That was
what are you talking about?
Definitely was a positive point, wasn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
from Jabeur, and with more confidence.
Well, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah, good coaching.
15:30. Świątek setting a break in the final. Backhand's in play, deep from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand. Oh,
What a shot.
lovely.
15-14.
Same again. The turn of ons to dictate. This is what we saw her do when she won those 2 games in that first set. Take the ball early, take a bit more risk, change down the line earlier on. Don't try and hang on in these baseline rallies. It's Świątek, not in a final.
Here we go then. A couple of break points to get us back on serve once again. Świątek settles, rocks back on her heels, tosses up the ball, serves out wide. The forehand pushed long from the baseline. Now, if you were listening to Sports Extra earlier, it's lovely to still have your company. Hope you're enjoying the tennis. But England's women have beaten India in their first test, in their first T20 by 9 wickets with 7 overs to spare. The next match is on Tuesday. The next break point is now. 30-40, 4-2. Świątek reaches up, serves deep. The backhand's in play. The backhand placed up the line from Świątek. Ooh, long from Jabeur, and it's juice.
That's a bad error. Had the chance for the break, set up for that forehand, and didn't follow Naomi's instructions. Did not go for the winner. Should have gone for the winner.
Yeah.
Instead, she played like a normal shot and floated it long.
Just go for it. You're down out there anyway, right? What else have you got to lose?
Juice. Świątek, forehand, snap back, cross court. They go forehand to forehand, cross court, low over the net. Goes Jabeur. Jabeur now runs around the backhand, goes off forehand. Wow, that was a screeching, sliding Świątek who squashed it into the net. Just couldn't get enough height on the ball. The good working of the ball by Jabeur, moving Świątek from side to side.
A lot better angles there, keeping her Polish opponent out into the doubles alley, the tram lines, instead of inside the court.
Yeah, out the strike zone of Świątek.
The voice you can hear is Issam Jalali, the coach of Jabeur, saying good, solid, and a couple of allées at the end. Her husband Kareem was on his feet applauding his wife. Break point, Jabeur, the backhand cross court, the backhand cross court. This is what they do, redirects up the line from Jabeur. The forehand snapped cross court on the slide from Świątek, who steadies herself and pushes that ball very deep. It's shorter from Jabeur. Jabeur out on the angle, goes forehand up the line. The backhand clips the top of it, it drops back Świątek's side, and we are back on serve once again. A look to her box from Jabeur. An hour and 12 minutes played. Świątek 4-3, but we are on serve.
We have a match now. This is what we wanted to see.
Yes.
Just stay within touching distance of your opponent. Don't give her the cushion when she's going to serve out for the championship. Something else to think about.
Yeah, she has to get a little nervous, right? I mean,
Well,
at some point. No, at some point when you're playing for a Grand Slam.
the previous finals would tell us different.
But also, when she's been so far ahead in those finals, as you're saying, she's never lost more than 4 games in any of those last 19 sets, including the one today. But the second set especially, she's barely dropped games. 3 of them she's won 6-love, 2 she's won 6-1. Never in a second set in a final has she been pushed closer than 6-3. So no one's actually had that scoreboard pressure on Iga at the end of the match when she is trying to serve it out, close the match out. So she Ons can do it.
She gets this set and she starts asking questions of Świątek, starts putting doubt in her mind.
Well, this is going to be a first for Świątek. She won't have ever played a 3-setter in a final.
More famous people.
Joe Jonas,
No, I
one of the
don't know.
Jonas brothers.
No, I don't know.
Is
I've
Joe
heard of
Jonas the one married to the English actress?
And you're looking at
I
me
think.
because...
I think she might be.
Jeff, have you got an answer?
I don't think people would respect me if I say I knew the Jonas Brothers. I know who they are, but I don't know them that well.
You don't know who they're married to?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Naomi's on the case.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm very sure it's...
Ask me what's up with Def
Oh,
Leppard.
the woman who is in Game of Thrones.
Yes, it is him. I just want to find her name. Sophie Turner. And I think she's about due with their second child as well.
I think she's had it.
Oh, she just had it?
See, now you guys know so much.
I knew you'd know, Gigi.
It's very deep down. Just got to get through the layers. on Jabeur. 3-4, second set. First set, 6-2. Iga Świątek looking to level things up in this second set of the US Open Women's Final. Best two players of the year, of the season, going head-to-head on the Arthur Ashe Stadium. Jabeur, 28 years of age, making such a difference around the world. A difference that she is positively embracing. Dirty love.
30.
Couple quick points doesn't hurt the comeback situation.
Jabeur serves out wide. The forehand is big and deep off the returner serve. The backhand cross got onto the service line from Świątek and then loose from Jabeur.
13. 15.
She plays so fast on, doesn't she? They've not even started the shot clock. She's already taken the ball up there at the baseline, bouncing, ready to go.
30-15, a serve down the tee. She stood firm, didn't she, Świątek? She planted her feet, she thumped that ball back, and she draws the error from Jabeur.
And Jabeur with a real chance to come back here. Body language, once again, very negative.
20th unforced error from Jabeur. Serve down the tee, the backhand gets it over, sneaks it over. Ooh, into the corner goes Jabeur. Wide off balance goes Świątek. A fist pump from the Tunisian and a point for 4-all.
And again, a bit more of a risky shot from Jabeur, taking the backhand early up down the line, wrong footing her opponent, keeping it out the strike zone, getting Świątek off balance, and then you get the error.
5:30 in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, an hour and 16 minutes on the match clock. A few white clouds have appeared in the sky in the early 80s temperature-wise, low humidity, and a point, and a game, and a hole for Ons Jabeur. Now it's getting really interesting because we are, Jeff, now in the business end of the second set.
Yes, it's the ups and downs
4 games on the second set.
are really not explainable because Jabeur, I still don't feel like she's playing her best tennis.
She's not comfortable with something, Świątek. She's just jogged up to the bench. She's having a look at a new racket. She's taken her hat off. She dusted something down in her hat as if something was like getting in her eyes or something was irritating her. They're obviously not happy with the string tension. But again, when you just keep close on the scoreboard, give your opponent something else to think about, make them uncomfortable.
Well, let's see how uncomfortable she's feeling because the world number one has stepped up, looks up at the skies, down at the floor, bounces the ball. 4 games all. Second set leads by Setzel, not happy with the ball toss. So she resets herself. Silence in the crowd. And the serve down the tee, the backhand is placed back mid-court. The backhand cross-court is an approach for Świątek. She comes in, she plays the half volley. That sits up for Jabeur, but it was behind her. The overhead from Świątek is long! And Jabeur is flattening her back, pumping her fist as if to say, yay!
Yeah, Świątek missed the overhead, but she knocked her opponent right on her back.
Because Jabeur, to keep that point alive, had to hit the ball behind her. And it didn't miss
the
by
replay
much.
of the close call, and that's the cheer from the crowd as they got a second glimpse of Świątek's shot landing long.
Not by much.
Please.
There's another one to turf out. Jabeur steps in on the second serve. It's a love 15. It's 4 games all. It's the second set of the final. Second final for Jabeur, a third for Świątek. Świątek long off the return, goes Jabeur, then she tries to kick that ball away, but she misses the kick and does a little twirl instead, and it's 15 all.
A few more unforced errors now by both players. A little tension in the air. The crowd, I think, is a little surprised that Jabeur's clawed her way back.
15 all, 4 all. Świątek serves to the backhand return. Now the slice from Jabeur cross-court to the double-hander placed up the line through Świątek. Forehand back down the line from Jabeur, who's hammering this forehand. She's made her way forward. She plays the drop shot. Here comes Świątek. She goes up the line. It's covered by Jabeur to win the point.
That's the turning point.
Well, I have to say it. That's her first successful drop shot in this match.
15-13.
And a great volley to close that point. But finally the right spin, the right height on the drop shot. Find that margin.
15-30. Świątek ready with the first serve nets. Just sort of collapsed into that first serve.
Yeah, that wasn't a good
Getting
attempt.
tight.
Świątek resets herself. She wants to wait for silence, which we finally have, sort of, nearly. And she serves out wide. The backhand's placed up the line. The forehand goes cross-court onto the service line. An off forehand from Jabeur. Jabeur keeping on the forehand, goes through the middle of the court. The forehand hit looped up and it's wide from Świątek. Break points for Jabeur for 5-4 and to serve to take us into a deciding set.
The racket speed has completely slowed down from Świątek now, both on the serve and even there behind the forehand. I actually was worried Onzi's forehand had dropped too short there and she'd lost the upper hand that she had in the rally, but Świątek seemingly off a short ball. She'd have eaten that for breakfast in the first set and a half, causing her to hit an unforced error now.
2 break points for a 5-4 lead. Świątek with the first serve. That's a good first serve. It's sliced back off the return. It's placed up the line from Świątek, who settles with the backhand down the other wing. The squash shot from Jabeur sneaks over. She's kind of in no man's land, Świątek. She has to go back and squash shot the ball over. In comes Jabeur. She goes into the corner. The pickup from shot. No, she's wide. Jabeur went wide. She couldn't hear it. This has been the problem without line judges. There are no arms to fly out to tell you you've missed it. And with the crowd making the noise, for a second she didn't realise.
On's just asking to see the replay of the close call.
I'd kind of like to see it too.
It wasn't far.
Here we go. We will let you know exactly by how
was
much
long.
it missed.
No, it was
Quite away in the end.
an inch or two.
Yeah. Still got another break point. One's gone. So it's 4-all. 30-40 second set. Świątek by a set to our final. Świątek serves out wide. That sits up and the backhand's brought down. Down on her haunches, Świątek with the backhand. And into the net goes Jabeur.
Please, for both players, when you're screaming during rally, it's disturbing both of them.
I don't remember a match like this when we've had so many distractions like this, like individual people screaming out.
Two very passionate fan groups in the crowd, and I think that they're almost trying to do it back to each other, aren't they? Well, you yelled out for her, I'm going to yell out for the other one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Juice. Everyone now settles and Świątek is ready and she serves deep and it's into this cut back, went for the slice off the return, and it's 15-40 to game point.
She's furious, Ons, crouching down, yelling at herself, tapping her racket on the floor, but now's not the time to be angry. She needs to keep this pressure on her opponent.
Yeah, I like her tactic of now slicing all of her forehand returns because Świątek doesn't get a good cut at the ball.
Game point for the world number 1 to go 5-4 up on serve. It's ready with the first serve nets. Takes the ball from the shorts. She's wearing under the skirt on the left-hand side. Bounce it with the face of the racket. Now with the left hand. 3 bounces. And another couple. Sets herself. Jabeur inside the baseline. This to close out the game. Just felt like she took a little bit too long off that second serve. She paused, she reset, she nets.
Thinking about a lot there. That's to take that 5-4 lead. Not really like her to double fault. Second one of the match.
There's a lot on the line. Świątek resets herself. Serves, and she gets the serve she wanted. The forehand off the return. The forehand goes cross-court into the corner from Jabeur, and the forehand goes down the line from Świątek. It's just about got off the backhand from Jabeur, who goes forehand into the corner. The stretch into the net from Świątek, who marches towards her towel as it's breakpoint opportunity number 3 for the Tunisian.
Oh, the crowd is alive now. They're getting their battle that they wanted.
It's exciting, isn't it? The atmosphere here at New York is like no other slam. So many people come to watch the sport who maybe normally wouldn't. I think that's also why you get more people shouting out during the points, maybe not used to having to stay as silent as you do at a tennis match.
At the baseball game across the street, you do not have to stay silent.
Break point, Jabeur. Will it be third time lucky in this game? The serve goes out wide. The backhand is in play. The backhand cross court to the slice into the net from Jabeur.
I don't remember seeing her miss a backhand slice this year. That was a bad error.
It's almost like she's looked up and seen the finish line now. She's almost got the chance for a break here. She's just tightening up herself.
We're into the 8th minute of the 9th game of the second set, and it's a biggie. 3 break points have been saved. 1 game point has come and gone. What's next?
Couple whistles.
Couple whistles. Ooh, misses, not by much on the first serve, going down the tee to the backhand of Jabeur. Jabeur steps inside the baseline, looking to put some pressure, attack this second serve. The serve goes down the tee and the forehand comes back up the line. Jabeur with a double-handed backhand stops a little bit short. The forehand spins very deep from Świątek, gets a deep ball. She's moving Jabeur from side to side, who finds a lovely angle. That's the slide from Świątek, backhand cross court. She misses.
The open court.
It's the defence again from Świątek. It's incredible defence, side to side. She is always there. She puts pressure, she draws the errors, and she's got a game point.
She has to be one of the best movers on the women's tour, Świątek, as well. She's just such a natural ability. You can hear how much she's sliding round on a hard court. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I do think it's an advantage growing up as a junior on clay, because you do learn those defensive skills. Then as you get bigger and stronger, you start being a more aggressive player, but you always have those defensive skills.
Game point, Świątek for 5-4, and keep us on serve. Serve goes down the tee. Oh, it's long off the return from Jabeur. 3 breakpoint opportunities for the Tunisian, who, while she's still 100% in this set, because we are on serve, the scoreboard lead is Iga Świątek. And when Jabeur steps up very shortly, Naomi, she is serving not just a whole serve, but she is serving to stay in the final.
And she's going to hope that those serving stats from the first set don't reappear their ugly heads. She's doing much better now in terms of making more first serve. She's winning more points behind her first serve ons, but it's in the second set, it's behind her second serve that she's now struggling with. She's actually only won 2 from 10 points on her second serve in this set. So I think Świątek's going to come out here and go for it, knowing her mentality. She really likes to step up and try and take the match, doesn't she? She's not going to just hang in, make the play and want her opponent to miss. So Ons is going to need to come up with some big serves.
With flags not allowed, I saw some tiny little Norwegian ones yesterday being wafted, lovely, but there are a lot more scarves because they are allowed.
Loads of football shirts as well.
And the people with the big flags, they don't want to be seen on the big screen, because then the security head to the big flags and you see them suddenly, as you said earlier, sort of tucking them under their top, saying, nothing to see here. But as you say, there are loads of football tops, the support for these two. And Jeff, you made the point right at the start, before they came out. 18 months ago, a lot of people wouldn't have known that much about these respective players.
Yeah, and I think it's happened on both tours now, the men's and the women's, where the new players are coming through, and, you know, new stars are being made. I've been worried about the men's tour a little bit. I have not been worried about the women's tour, because these two players coming up immediately became stars. Even when Jabeur was 13, 14 in the world, everybody was already talking about her. But the men's tour, I was like, people aren't grabbing on to these guys yet. And, you know, for promotion and marketing purposes, it's a little difficult. Alcaraz is helping that a lot. But I just think these guys need to win multiple slams before people get respect for them.
Jabeur serving to stay in the US Open final. On serve, she serves out wide. She'll take a big cut at this game, because she can, Świątek. She finds the angle, and she is 3 points away from being crowned US Open champion. Jabeur quickly into position, as is Świątek. Jabeur serves down the tee. It comes back into the corner. The slice floats over from Jabeur. The backhand is placed up the line for Świątek. Świątek with the forehand down the other wing. The backhand cross-court and deep. And it's deeper off the backhand from Świątek, who scampers the forehand. It goes cross-court. The forehand cross-court from Jabeur. Up the line. The spin, not enough on it. Drifts long 15-all.
15-all.
Well, we knew Jabeur was going to fight, right? We didn't think she was kind of get blown out 6-2-3 love, but she's made this a fight.
I think that has been a big improvement. Her mentality from that Wimbledon final to today, she's managed to correct that energy level midway through the match. More experience for it, whether she wins or loses, and she's going to have more opportunities in Grand Slam finals if she doesn't get this one today, if she isn't able to do the comeback.
Definitely.
Missed first serve, second serve, she places that. It's crunched. Thought about coming in, Świątek, but she stays back, but she draws the error anyway from Jabeur. And 2 points from the title now is the world number 1. Looking for her 55th match win of the season. Iga Świątek, her 7th title and her 91st match win since the start of 2021. And she's only 21 years of age. Forehand slapped across court from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand, pushing it very deep, but it's blocked back by Świątek. Świątek with the forehand, she's going further and further back on the baseline, holding her ground is Jabeur. Jabeur steps in with the forehand into the corner. The stretch from Świątek isn't enough. 30 all.
I just want this match to keep going just a little bit longer. Just stay with Świątek. I want to see how she reacts.
Yeah, Jabeur with that forehand now, you notice Jabeur's getting a little bit better angle off the court. So you were saying she has to stretch for that forehand. Well, in the first set, she wasn't stretching for any forehand. She was just full torquing them all.
Is it a game point? Is it a championship point? In comes Jabeur with the backhand. She places it. She gets back into position, but she cuts it wide, and it is game point for Ons Jabeur.
40-30.
Same again, Jeff, as you were saying, using the serve that time to get Świątek stretching on the forehand, having to go to the slice grip.
87 miles an hour, so she was able to bend it way out there.
Game point for 5 all in the second set. Jabeur with the serve, misses out wide. Ball boy
That was the
scurries
right
forward.
serve. The out wide, get that angle going.
Second serve, Świątek up on the baseline, plays a double-handed backhand, but nets. And we play on. 5 games all, second set.
Well, Świątek's playing with a second life in this tournament. She was down 4-2 against Sabalenka. Probably should have lost that match. Came back and won. Now Jabeur is playing with a second life, being down 6-2, 3-0. You could easily see her walk in the locker room and say, gosh darn it, I didn't go for it. But she didn't do that. She's fighting and she's saying, I'm going to go for it. Even if I lose this, I'm going to go in there saying that I gave it a good fight. Which is, like Naomi said, just a huge improvement from her last Grand Slam final.
Świątek serving, it drops over, it draws Świątek in, who places the back, and can she pass her? No, she can't.
I'd have liked to have seen her at least make your opponent play a volley there, especially when she's potentially getting quite tight. You don't necessarily have to go for the passing shot when your opponent's approaching the net. Maybe try dip it down to her feet first, make her play up, and then go for the pass.
21-year-old, 5 all, 15 love, ready to serve. An hour and 32 on the match clock. 5:45 on a Saturday. Hot conditions, but not humid. Touch of a breeze.
The humidity's dropped off massively, hasn't it? What did we say it is today? Around 30%. The start of the week was in the 80s. Start of the first week.
Then we had those storms, didn't we, that broke it all up. Got very wet. Serve out wide, the backhand blocked back from Jabeur. Jabeur with this double-handed backhand nets. There's just nothing on that backhand.
30 love.
Like her feet have just stopped. I think that's the first sign of nerves.
Still nothing from the Świątek box.
Nope, nothing. The only person that's just fidgeted is her sports psychologist, who she hired, what was it, 9 months ago, something like that.
Oh, a bit longer now. They've been working together way back. Daria Abramovic, key member of the Świątek team. Serve out wide, the forehand cross-court, middle of the court. She goes back behind, but misses Świątek.
Way long, too.
Yeah, she actually had the sports psychologist almost right from when she came on tour, didn't she? And she was one of the first players that sort of said, I get more out of my sports psychologist when she's here with me at tournaments. I don't want to go back to her, you know.
Brought her on tour, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Work on stuff when you're on a practice court. No, I need her here at the matches.
To see what's going on. So she could be as nervous as I am and say, well, maybe you should have done it this way.
Yeah.
And she says sometimes she's told by Daria Abramovic before a match to sit and do a puzzle or play Jenga or just play with some blocks and just completely switch off from what you're doing and what you're thinking about.
All right.
There you go. So if you ever see that,
count your M&Ms or something like that.
Well, probably more blocks than M&Ms.
Okay.
Crowd are being silent now.
ball toss. Yes, they, actually, you know, they are. They've sorted themselves out. The backhand return up the line from Jabeur, who switches around and plays the forehand cross-court. But there's someone that just can't contain themselves. Contain yourself! The backhand cross-court onto the service line from Jabeur. Jabeur with a double line. Oh, she goes drop shot. But it sits up. And here comes Świątek, and she flips it. Cross-court, the pick-up from Jabeur. The volley from Świątek. The pick-up from Jabeur. Świątek goes backhand into the corner. Jabeur reads it, but nets.
Well, it wasn't a good drop shot, Gigi, but she almost pulled the point out with just sheer talent. Look at the shot making was incredible. You usually see that in a game of dinkum.
But you don't give Świątek a second look, which she did there, and she made no mistake the second time around. Points for 6-5.
I think we call dinkum touch.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Just for our English listeners.
All right.
British.
Game points for 6-5. Świątek with the forehand, finds the off forehand. That was the screech of the shoes from Jabeur. Ooh, the ball lands in. Świątek lets it drop and goes forehand cross-court. Forehand flattened out cross-court. Jabeur up the line and slight miss hit there. Drop shot drifts over. Here comes Świątek. Goes cross-court, but she misses. Where's the drop shot count, Naomi? She's on it with the notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up. So that's now the ninth.
We've had a couple in this
the ninth
game.
she's played in this set, and it's the second she's won.
There we go. We get so many stats, but we don't have a drop shot column, and I would love a drop shot column.
Well, especially for Jabeur, you need one.
Point for 6-5. Floodlights have come on. They're just warming up slightly, slowly. Serve out wide into net, Jabeur. And this time it's Jabeur who looks quite flat as she trudges back, and it's Świątek who turns around to her box and gives a little raw coach on his feet, sits herself down because she's got herself in the same position as a couple of games ago, because when they resume, Jeff, once again Jabeur has that pressure of serving to stay in the match.
Yeah, you got to back it up again and again, and the goal to get to that tiebreaker and see if your opponent will waver at all, maybe make a couple unforced errors unexpectedly. TFO was 7-0 in tiebreakers at the US Open this year.
That's incredible. Even Wayne Ferreira couldn't explain that.
Yeah.
He said it's just really good.
Yeah, but you need, when you're in those pressure situations, get your opponent into the tiebreaker, especially if you're the underdog, because that's when you can do something special. You can come up with taking a chance. You know your opponent's going to play the percentages, and you don't have to when you're the underdog.
They were handing out baseball caps today to the crowd, but we haven't had that much sun, so they'll be used, I'm sure, on other days, but not today.
Yeah, I thought we might see more people sat out with them on their heads, but we're not seeing all that many. They're kind of like a dark grey colour, but as you say, maybe not wanting to mess up their hair. But what a great souvenir. I feel like a baseball cap isn't really cheap in the souvenir shop here either.
No, $25.
Yeah.
And you got one.
As did you, Gigi. How dare you call me out on air?
They've got a couple.
They weren't allowed for accredited people, but we may have
taken those off.
Taken them off
momentarily.
Got a souvenir.
It's a nice memento, nice souvenir.
Hey, we're here in the stadium watching this final too.
Yes, we
are. We deserve a hat.
And we're hoping to see a third set.
We
but
are.
At least a tiebreak.
At least a tiebreak.
Or at least a tiebreak. Jabeur has to hold serve here. 5-6, second set, hour and 38 minutes played. Shadows have crossed the court entirely. It's just covered in shade now. And the serve out wide, and the forehand spins back and stops short. And the off back and into the corner from Jabeur. Jabeur with the forehand going cross court to the forehand squeaky shoes of Świątek. And then she went back behind Świątek, and I think Jabeur thought for a second she'd made it. Świątek knew she hadn't. You heard the call, and it's love 15.
Yeah, a little bit shocked. She wants to see that close call.
She walked away with a fist pump there, and that can be quite distracting. We see the close call. Maybe a centimetre wide, not by much. Not one of the closest of close calls.
3 points from the win now, Świątek, and a second serve to look at here as the ball boy scurries across and picks up the loose ball that was into the net off the first serve. Second serve goes in. That backhand was a brute off the returner serve. And 2 points from the title now, the world number one.
What a great shot by Iga there to run around the forehand and hit a backhand. She's been missing a few forehands. And that backhand has gotten her to #1 in the world. The forehand is what's gotten her the run of wins, because nobody expected her to prove her forehand so much.
Please.
But in the clutch, you feel like she wants to hit that backhand.
Love 30. Missed first serve. Thunders into the net as the crowd once again cannot contain themselves. Second serve. Love 30. 5-6 second set, sits up for the forehand, hit that inside the baseline. Świątek looking to bring up championship points. Jabeur goes off forehand, double-handed backhand netted from the world #1.
Little creaky.
Don't let her get to match point. You just want to keep her not quite that close, because then all you need is a little margin, a little bit of luck. Big point here.
15-30. Looking for this first serve. She gets it down the tee, snap back through the middle of the court. The forehand placed cross court, not a lot of pace on that forehand down the line from Świątek. Świątek into the corner with a squeak and goes cross court on the slide. Another forehand from Świątek, who settles herself up as she goes long. It's 30 all. How about this then? The next point is either going to be a championship point or a game point for the tiebreak. Both players are ready. The crowd sort of ready. Jabeur serves out wide, misses.
That was close.
She's enjoying that wide serve on the juice side, isn't she?
Yeah, it's really starting to come.
Second serve, 30 all. Serve down the tee this time. The backhand's in play. The backhand swung cross court from Jabeur. The backhand cross court on the stretch again from Świątek, who settles for a very deep ball from Jabeur on the backhand. Oh, she hooks it wide on Jabeur. And after an hour and 41 minutes, it is championship point for Iga Świątek, who runs back and takes a new racket on championship points.
Bizarre. Clearly still not comfortable or happy with the racket tension.
Right, new racket, championship point, 30-40 on Jabeur's ready. Jabeur serves the first serve down the tee. The forehand drops over Jabeur with the off forehand. Świątek slides into the backhand. It drifts long, and the championship point has been saved.
Is that superstition? Yeah, is that superstition? Why has she done that?
She's done it in a couple of matches.
Yeah. What, just from 4-match point?
So she's a game away, she's a point away, and she's gone and changed it.
She's just gotten used to the other racket.
Juice. Serve down the tee. It's a heavy, big serve that wins on Jabeur the point.
And I think if I'm Iga Świątek, I'm really trying to get this done in 2 sets here, because the level of on Jabeur is just getting better and better as this match goes on.
Confidence and solid. The words being said from the Jabeur box. A point for the tiebreak. Serves, big serve. The backhand floats in. The backhand placed by Jabeur. The forehand cross court from Świątek. Cross court goes Jabeur. The forehand wide from Świątek. We had a championship point, but we play on, and it's a second set tiebreak.
This is standing ovation from half the crowd. They wanted to see this fight. Lots of those flags being snuck out of pockets right now.
And then quickly put back in again.
Even a lot of the Polish fans on their feet waving their flags as well, trying to get behind their player.
They probably thought if we all wave our flags, there's not enough security. They won't know where to go. So it's going to get confused. Here we go. Try to contain this crowd now. Świątek with the first point of the second set tiebreak. She's had a championship point, and she'll get this tiebreak underway. Serves down the tee, backhand through the middle of the court, as is the backhand of Świątek. Up the line goes Jabeur, cross court on the angle goes Świątek, who runs round and hooks the forehand up the line, and then Świątek with another forehand. She goes inside out to the backhand, down the line winner, and a mini break for Ons Jabeur.
That's why you gotta love the tiebreaker, because you could surprise your opponent with shots like that. She hasn't hit that shot the entire match.
So surprise herself as well, I think. What a backhand that was, straight out the middle of the strings from back behind the baseline. She was out at the tram line, such low percentage, but she found it when she needed it.
Is that Arantxa Sanchez also there?
Yep, she's been in the box.
Yelling,
time,
screaming.
9th backhand winner for Świątek. 2, that was just a second for Ons Jabeur. Takes a lot off that second serve. Deep return from Świątek and wide. And the moment of joy for the Tunisian fans is momentarily dampened as the mini break is cancelled out.
What an atmosphere this is turning into. 1 hour, 44 minutes on the clock now. That's husband Karim.
Point apiece. Set up Świątek. Jabeur with the off forehand, which just wasn't set for it.
2-1.
It was the right place to try that shot, but like you said, she didn't quite get around it all the way enough. Maybe needed 3 more shuffle steps in there, and just mishit it on the racket. It just wasn't going to ever go where she wanted it.
Now it's advantage Świątek with the mini break. Both players are ready in this US Open women's final. On 5 Sports Extra as Świątek plays double-handed backhand cross-court to double-handed backhand cross-court, and it's redirected up the line for Świątek, who has to go out to the forehand. She nearly did the splits as she hit that. The off forehand from Jabeur, and it was long from Świątek, who apologises Jabeur for it clipping there and just changing the trajectory of the ball, and we're level at 2 points apiece.
Well, this is what we wanted. We wanted this tiebreaker, and we wanted to see what these ladies were all about in the clutch, and getting a nice little taste of it, huh?
75-minute set so far.
Right.
After a 30-minute first set. 2 points apiece. Świątek with the ball. Świątek serves out wide. It was a miss hit on the return. You heard it clunk as it came off the racket and the strings of Jabeur.
Look, the point advantage to Świątek.
Oh, look.
Box of Iga on her feet now. The players are down the opposite side of the court, so they're having to yell to get their messages across. Just support, though.
2-3, Jabeur with the ball, serves down the tee, the forehand drops over, it brings Jabeur forward, but she goes long, the Tunisian.
4-2.
Another nice souvenir for a fan. Jabeur kicked that forehand that Świątek hit about 100 miles an hour into the 5th row.
6 points played. You can have a break as you change ends, but Jabeur went round the far side of the net to the umpire's chair, got herself in position, while Świątek again goes through her routine and takes her time. It's the allotted time.
Serena never really had sips of water, did she, in the middle of a break?
No, she's always crossed on the opposite side.
I'm not a fan. I always think make the most of it. You don't get what if this goes past?
I get
you have
parched
another
in tiebreakers.
Yeah.
I don't want to go 2 changeovers without a water.
If it goes to a 3rd set, you're kind of a bit dehydrated.
Jabeur 2-4, serve down the tee. The serve will do its job. But the balls now roll their way down to the world #1 for her next 2 points.
And she's got the mini break. She just needs to hold the lead now, Świątek.
First to 7 or win by 2 points.
No more unforced errors allowed.
3 more points. Świątek will be the US Open champion, but that's a long way away at this stage, but it is her advantage. 4-3. Świątek serves into the body. It's pulled out on the backhand side. Forehand netted from Świątek inside the baseline. Nets on the forehand, and it's 4 points apiece.
You say no more unforced errors allowed, Jeff. Of the 29 she's hit in this match, Świątek, 21 of those have come in this 2nd set alone. So massive drop-off for her in terms of level, as well as Ons raising hers.
6 games each, 4 points apiece in the tiebreak. Hour and 48 on the match clock. Świątek serves, and you heard there that the net was touched. She discards that ball. She asks for another couple. She'll examine the 2, choose the one she wants to use. She's got the navy blue baseball cap on, looks up at the skies, down at the ball, as Jabeur sways from side to side, ready to return serve. 4 points all. It's cut back from Jabeur, the backhand. Oh, she misses it. Looking for placement, Świątek. She went deep, too deep, and now she's gesturing to her box as Jabeur moves 5-4 up.
Wow, what a turnaround.
5-4. Jabeur.
We said, would she have a wobble if her opponent could stay within touching distance of her, and it's definitely what we're seeing.
It's the most games she has lost in her last 9.5 finals, as it were. Świątek, she could close this set out here, Jabeur.
She thought she hit an ace. She thought it was good enough. looking around like, are you sure that wasn't an ace?
Having a bit of a laugh to herself.
5-4. Point here to bring up set point. Serves down the tee. The forehander is in play. Cross court goes Jabeur. She's trying to draw Świątek in, who scampers back. Świątek hits the forehand, redirects it up the line. The backhand plays cross court from Jabeur. Jabeur being very cautious here. She slides that forehand deep, but the forehand is perfection from the world number one.
It's the sort of tennis we saw Świątek producing in the first set, managing to find it under the utmost pressure there. Forehand down the line, changing direction, onto the line.
She had a championship point in the 12th game. Iga Świątek, it's now locked at 5 points apiece in this second set tiebreak. Jabeur with the ball, serves into the net. Ball boy scurries across, scoops it up, back into his position courtside. Jabeur ready with the second serve. Where does it go? It goes deep, and the backhand comes through the court and into the net goes Ons Jabeur to hand Iga Świątek not just her second championship point and her first of the tiebreak, but also the balls, because she now will serve for the title.
Interesting there that she stretches her legs before this point, like she's tight. She's showing her legs are cramping a little bit, but showing it to her opponent also.
Championship point number 2, first of the tiebreak. She has the serve, the world number 1. Can she close it out here? Not happy with the ball toss.
She gave her a sorry mate too.
Please.
An hour and 50 on the clock. Championship point number 2 for the world number 1 with the first serve.
Oh my goodness.
Missed by a way.
It almost hit Jabeur in the foot.
Jabeur comes forward, puts some pressure on this second serve. 6-5 in the tiebreak for Świątek. Championship point number 2, first of the tiebreak. Second serve on its way. Sits up, backhand placed up the line. The forehand swung cross court. Jabeur with the forehand over hits it. And it is game, set and championship 1 for the world number 1, Iga Świątek. She is the US Open champion. She is 3 from 3 in Grand Slam finals at the age of just 21 years of age. As the players embrace, the title is won by the world number 1. Iga Świątek, your US Open champion for 2022, closing it out in straight sets, 6-2, 7-6.
This is the most emotional I think I've seen her after a final as well. I think definitely, but definitely the most pressure she has had closing any final out, let alone a Grand Slam. Ons did her best, managed to raise her level, stay with Świątek, who's just ran over to her team, sobbing. High fives all round.
Well, you feel like the match was getting away from her, and I think she thought she was going to lose. And she was at that point where if something weird didn't happen, she was going to lose the match. And just the fact that she was able to pull that tiebreaker out, it almost she's in disbelief.
It's relief, isn't it?
Yes.
It's almost like she was having a debrief with her boxers. The boxes are quite up, so she had to really stretch her 5'9" each frame just to slap hands as Jabeur's taken the headband off and she's leaning forward in her seat. And they're so quick at getting things set. Back with us in the commentary box, correspondent Russell Fuller, and we saw early in the week the practicing of getting. It's amazing how quickly they get everything set in place for this ceremony.
Yes, we saw the rehearsals, didn't we, on Thursday, I think it was, ahead of the women's semi-finals. It's the first time Iga Świątek has witnessed this close-up at Flushing Meadows. She's seen exactly how they do it at Roland Garros and on the Philippe Chatrier court, twice a champion there. And it was excruciatingly tight, wasn't it? Both players were being put through the mill in that second set. Lots of unforced errors, but very exciting, and all credit to Ons Jabeur, who looked like she was going to go 4-love down, didn't she, in that second set? The final could have been done in an hour. She saved 3 break points and very nearly took Iga Świątek into a deciding set, but that's 10 finals won in a row, 10 finals in straight sets. Emma Raducanu is no longer the US Open champion. We're looking at the honours board, and Iga Świątek's name has already been written underneath Emma Raducanu, who's the champion for 2022.
It is quite incredible, a 55th match win of the season, a 7th title. And while you talked about earlier that she was, Jeff, and she was sort of thrown into the number 1 spot with the retirement of Ash Barty, boy, has she embraced it.
And really, just been improving her game continuously, been improving her mental game continuously, and you saw some of her shots break down at the end of that set or in the middle of that second set, but she was able to just pull it back, and she didn't have to be the best she's ever been to win that match, but she just had to be a little bit better than Honest Jabeur today. And Honest was so up and down that she was able to get just enough free points that she was able to win the match. And I wouldn't say she's going to come off and say, boy, I played the best tennis of my life, but hey, I have been in the finals of the doubles at the French Open, and you get nervous. Okay, I'm going to tell you, when you're in the finals of a slam, you get nervous, and you don't know when it's going to come. You don't know when it's going to go away, and you could see it even at the end. Świątek was stretching her legs like she was cramping, because 99% of cramps comes from nerves. When you get nervous, you cramp up. And I could have seen her cramp up in the third set and lose that match if she loses the tiebreaker.
You can see why they rehearse getting the stage together, because it's a very complex.
It's like a big Lego set.
It's like, and I'm at the moment with my children. I'm really into the Lego stage, and that's sort of making me tremble slightly at what they're doing, because it's very elaborate. Every piece has a place, and there's a lot of gentlemen doing a very good job. The photographers have all already gathered behind the baseline, as have the ball girls and boys. There's 2 rows. The front rows are holding flags, and it's like this really, it's like someone's trying to do a Rubik's Cube against the clock, that someone's timing it and they're just going through and getting it all done. Meanwhile, on Jabeur, there was a lovely ovation we heard there from her. Iga Świątek has been told what she has to do in terms of immediate commitment. She hands her towel to a fan.
It was her racket.
It's a second racket that she's handed out.
Look at that.
Look at this. So she's on her phone.
He has a Polish flag around his neck, but I don't think she liked that racket. I think that was the racket she kept switching out.
She's now texting someone saying, I've won the US Open.
Well, as we were saying, she didn't have all that many people in her box, did she? So I'm sure she's messaging everyone back home now.
Like they weren't watching.
Massive smile on her face.
She's texting really quickly, but I think that's a generational thing.
It's always nice for me. I mean, I'm sure it's not nice for Ons, but it's nice for me at the end of a big match to see the passion of the players. You know, you see the complete polar opposite reactions, don't you? You see Ons sat there so upset in her chair, head in hands, packing her stuff away, and then you see Iga the other side of the net, massive grin on her face, handing her equipment out, texting her friends and family back home in Poland, can't stop smiling. And it just shows you how much it means, how much work is put into getting to this stage in their careers. And I really hope Ons will stay positive after this, because for me this isn't going to be the last Grand Slam final that she's in, especially after the year that she's had. And she improved. She used the experience that she gained at that Wimbledon final. I think she improved her mentality. She made it a contest. She made it a match after a 30-minute first set where it could have been a complete washout. We've seen Świątek do it time and time again, but she stuck around and she very, very nearly got herself into a third set.
Yeah, and you could see how that building of her career is going. I mean, she was ranked 13 in the world, and all of a sudden she's ranked 2 in the world, I think in like a week or something.
Yeah.
I just kind of went, what? How did that happen? And, you know, with all those Wimbledon points dropping off and the whole switcheroo there.
She'd be potentially ranked way higher if the points were available.
So then it
from
would have
Wimbledon.
helped her to have the points, but it helped her that points were taken off a week early. But what I'm saying is she was kind of thrown into it also. And she choked that one final, right? She just didn't play well.
Yeah.
This time she was kind of choking, but she was getting beat. And she comes back. I think the next time, and there is going to be a next time, because she's way too good, she's going to get over that hurdle.
I agree.
We're not far off now, Ross. They've set the stage, they've laid the blue carpet, the plinth is on the stage, and the next thing to happen, you can just see down here in the corner,
we need the suits.
That the trophies will make their way and they'll be placed on the plinth. Then we have our dignitaries, and then we have our ceremony.
We do. We have the speeches, we have the ceremonies, we have is it a giant check here that's handed over?
It's pretty big.
Is it one of those big, enormous
no, it's an envelope.
checks?
It's an envelope. They keep it in the purser's office, but they give you an envelope.
They just give a little envelope.
Yeah, it's a blank envelope.
I remember when Sloane won here and they said to her, is this going to inspire you to go on and win more? And she said, did you see the size of the check they just gave me? Of course it is.
And Andreescu said that she had visualised the winning check and that had led her to US Open glory. Right, well, we have those dignitaries you're waiting for on the stage. The next thing will be for those trophies to make the way. So the chair umpire will have a little memento of the occasion. There's the runners-up plate, silver salver, and then there is the trophy itself. But we had to wait for Iga Świątek because she had just disappeared. But Russell, she is now back, and I think we have everyone we need.
She's off her phone. She's obviously run out of screen time for the day.
Yeah, her parents cut her off.
Data roaming is expensive.
$2.6 million, by the way, for the winner.
And I think she can afford it.
I thought she was going to update her Instagram or something while she was doing all that.
That'd be cute.
Hey, look at me, selfie.
$2.6 million and £2.17 million. I did that calculation in the week before the US Open. It's probably worth less than that now.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's comparing to the Polish
It's
currency.
still a good amount.
You're
Whatever the exchange rate, it's still a good amount.
Yes, particularly when it's your third Grand Slam title and your seventh title of the year.
Presentation. Tournament Director, Stacey Allister. USTA Chairman of the Board and President, Mike McNulty. Representing J.P. Morgan, Teresa Heitzenrether. Four-time U.S. Open Women's Singles Champion, Martina Navratilova.
Martina has actually been briefly separated from her dog, who's been on her lap throughout the last 2 weeks here in New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about one more round of applause for Iga and Ons in a terrific final match. Please welcome, carrying the finalists and champion trophies, future American tennis champions, 12-year-old Emma Palacio from Sport Time Lynbrook and 9-year-old Tate Holiday from Matchpoint NYC.
The trophies are gleaming and are placed on the table at the front of the stage.
To begin our trophy ceremony, we'd like to recognize our chair umpire for today's final, Louise Azimer Engzel, to step forward.
The Swedish umpire steps forward to receive her memento of officiating this final Women's Singles Grand Slam Champion of 2022.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chairman of the Board and President of the USTA, Mike McNulty.
Thank you, and congratulations, Iga and Ons. Your performance tonight was one of the defining moments of a spectacular three-week U.S. Open. We celebrated one of our sport's all-time greats in Serena Williams. And we saw the emergence of stars of tomorrow, as evidenced by the both of you. We honored the legacy of Arthur Ashe, and we celebrated the 25th anniversary of this magnificent stadium. We kept Arthur Ashe's humanitarian ideals, and with the support and the generosity of all of you, we raised more than $2 million for Tennis Plays for Peace to support the people of Ukraine. And these are just a few of the many reasons why the 2022 U.S. Open will long be remembered as one of the most spectacular in history. So congratulations again, Iga, Ons, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mike. And now, Ons, you've had an amazing 2 weeks. You're going to be back to number 2 in the world on Monday. This was a tough one. You fought your heart out. The crowd was behind you. What will you remember the most from these last 2 weeks?
Well, just I want to thank the crowd for cheering me up, and I really tried, but Iga didn't make it easy for me. But she deserved to win today. I don't like her very much right now, but it's okay. Just amazing 2 weeks, to be honest with you, backing up my final in Wimbledon. I know I'm gonna keep working hard, and we'll get that title sometime soon.
It seems like every time you play, you're making history. You're a trailblazer. What does this mean for you and your country to be the first-time major here, first African, first Arab woman to do that?
It means it really means a lot, and I try to push myself to do more. You know, getting the major is one of the goals, and hopefully, you know, I can inspire more and more generation. That's the goal, and I got inspired by so many champions. You know, Martina here, she inspired us, and thank you for being here, Arantxa. Thank you also to my team. They've always been pushing me, Isam, Karim, I mean, my management team, my friends, Melanie, the president of federation. We want more kids coming here, hopefully, and I'm just really hope I can inspire more and more, and this is just the beginning of so many things.
It's definitely the beginning, Ons. Congratulations. On behalf of the USTA, Mike McNulty will present you with your trophy.
So the runners-up trophy for a second Grand Slam in a row for Ons Jabeur, but that still represents dramatic progress. Not just at Grand Slam level as she lifts the tray above her head, but on all surfaces throughout the year. Remember the very big win in Madrid, which was such a ground-breaking triumph for her.
Congratulations. What an impressive run. What an impressive season. This is your 7th title, your 2nd major. How are you able to perform at your best when it matters the most?
I don't know, honestly. I'm just not expecting a lot, especially before this tournament. It was such a challenging time, you know, and coming back after winning a Grand Slam, it's always tricky, even though if Roland Garros was the 2nd one. So I really needed to stay composed and focus on the goals. And for sure, this tournament was really challenging also, because, it's New York, it's so loud, it's so crazy. There was so many temptations in the city, so many people I've met who are so inspiring. It's really mind-blowing for me, and I'm so proud that I could handle it mentally. And such an amazing tournament, such an amazing season. Well, I know that this is, already a pretty nice rivalry, and we're gonna have many more, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna win some of them. So don't worry. Also congrats for your team, because the dedications that you guys show, it's pretty amazing.
Iga, you're also making history. You're the first Polish woman to win the U.S. Open. What does this mean to you and to Poland?
Well, I don't know. I gotta come back home and check. But I'm pretty sure that it's a lot. I can even hear what's going on right now on the stadium. Thank you, guys. Dziękuję.
The Poles in the crowd making themselves heard.
Especially right now when we gotta stay united and really, support ourselves and stay together. I'm pretty happy that I can kind of unite people with our sport. And I'm proud that tennis is getting more and more popular at home. I know that I'm repeating basically what Ons said. You're such an inspiration as well. But we're trying to do our best to be good people and to be good examples.
Well, you've done that, Iga.
And there's no hiding those Polish flags anymore.
And I know you don't do this by yourself. You have a great team behind you. What would you like to say to them?
Wow. Guys, how tough it was, basically. And I'm pretty sorry that I'm giving you sometimes such a hard time. You're always the ones that are basically smarter and know better what to do, even though I'm pretty stubborn. I'm pretty happy that I have you on my side, and I have people who really know how to guide me. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't stand here. I wouldn't be so well prepared. So thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Before you get your trophy, you're going to get $2.6 million. Teresa Heitz, is here from Global Head of Securities, JP Morgan Asset Management, to give you that check.
There you are. You need somebody who's the head of securities when the check is that big.
Absolutely amazing, amazing job. Congratulations to you. And now our 4th-time U.S. Open champion, Martina Navratilova, will do the honors and present Iga Świątek with her U.S. Open trophy.
This is what it's all about, though. A hug from Martina Navratilova, an 18-time Grand Slam singles champion. Iga Świątek is on her trail.
Ladies and gentlemen,
3-1 by the age of 21.
U.S. Open Women's Champion, Iga Świątek.
She's looking at some of the names on the trophy as the multicolored ticker tape is released into the sky. Iga Świątek holds aloft the US Open trophy. She's done it twice at Roland Garros on the Philippe Chatrier court, and now here in New York too. And she's just reminded us that even though she might think these courts are a bit quick for her, that she doesn't like the ball, she is the best player in the world, and therefore anybody else on pretty much any surface, maybe with the exception of grass for the moment, has to play a pretty extraordinary match to beat her, especially in a final. She's won her last 10 all in straight sets, and by winning a 7th title here, Gigi, first woman to do so on tour in a single year since Serena Williams in 2014.
It's quite incredible what she has done, what she continues to do, and what she will probably go on to do. And Naomi, when you look at Grand Slam-wise, the two at Roland Garros, clay, a surface she absolutely adores. She says, I just feel safe, I feel comfortable. You look at this US Open run, the build-up, she wasn't happy with a few things. Today was the 3rd top 10 player she has played and beaten, so it's also been the toughest run she has had to a Grand Slam title.
Yeah, and I think clay will always predominantly be Iga's best, maybe favourite surface, but we saw that fantastic winning streak of hers started, got well underway on the hard courts. She's now got her Grand Slam title on the hard courts as well. I think for me it's only going to be Wimbledon that it's maybe going to take her a few more years to kind of adjust and find some footing on that surface, partly because of her technique as well. You know, she's got that big swing, she likes extra time on the ball. On the grass you don't get that privilege, but I think in the same way that we saw Nadal adjust his game with experience, she's only 21. She's so young, already a 3-time Grand Slam champion, and she carries and wears the hat of world #1 so well, doesn't she? We've seen on the women's tour for a few years now players win Grand Slams or get to world #1 and just crumble under the pressure of having that target on their back. We heard Serena Williams this tournament say, I haven't been able to just go out and enjoy my tennis since the very first time I played here, because after that I had a target on my back for the entirety of my career. Not everyone can handle that, but Iga Świątek can. She's a well-deserving champion, and as she said, I'm sure and I hope Ons is going to be the rivalry that we need with Świątek in our sport.
Yeah, she plays well, doesn't she, Jeff, with a target on her back?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to put another target on her back and say that she might have the calendar slam at Wimbledon on the line. I think she's
because you think she'll win in Australia and at Roland Garros.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be right there, whether she's going to make that jump and win Wimbledon or not. But if I'd say it's safe money right now to put it on her. I love the way she's improving, and she's able to improve. And she goes back home after this match, and I bet you she thinks about how can I improve more. She's still that young. She's not like saying, oh, I'm just going to hang in there for a couple more years and soak up all the glory. I really think she's going to go out and improve her game even more and be a better player next year than she was this year.
I think the thing that counts against her at Wimbledon, along with the excellent points Naomi has made, is that you expect her to have a very successful clay court season and have a deep run at Roland Garros. And this year, she didn't play a grass court warm-up event, and that's valuable weeks of practice lost. So it might help her 1 year to go out early at Roland Garros, play a couple of warm-up events on the grass, or at least be practicing on the grass more, because you think she'll get there in the end, don't you?
Maybe she'll cut her clay court schedule down a little bit and then just play the French and then prepare for the grass.
Well, we saw Rafa, he had to go countless years from the final at Roland Garros to Queens just a day or two later, didn't he, on the grass? He barely had time to celebrate most of those Roland Garros titles. It's such a quick turnaround. Then he'd just play the one event in the run-up to Wimbledon. I don't think it helped her this year, actually, the streak that she was on, because she even dropped out of Madrid, which Ons then went on to win, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Just to try and manage that workload, because she had played so many matches. So maybe next year she's going to have the pressure of defending all those points. Maybe she's not going to be able to not play as many. Maybe she's going to struggle to kind of drop out of those events, but that'll be interesting to see how she and her coaching team work around that scheduling, because moving forwards, if she does want Wimbledon as a title, you're going to want to play at least one event on the grass beforehand.
No jeopardy as far as the world number one is concerned.
No jeopardy.
Get back to us in about 6 months on that one, when she's got all these points to defend from
But Jeff,
February.
a word on the new world number two, back to world number two, Ons Jabeur. At the moment, it's this crushing defeat. She wanted it so badly, but there are so many positives for her to take.
That's the way I looked at it. She was just a deer in headlights for the first 35 minutes of that match, and then she turned it around and she got into it. The crowd got behind her. She felt that electricity. She tasted that victory. I think if she wins that second set, maybe Iga tightens up even more. She loosens up even more. She was inches from winning that match, and I think that's the biggest takeaway for her, is that she could be number one in the world someday.
Look, it's her second consecutive Grand Slam final. She backed up reaching the Wimbledon final. She continues to make history and break down barriers, and it's already 44 wins for the season, but a 55th for your US Open champion 2022, Iga Świątek. She's now with the ball boys and ball girls on the stage. There's ticker tape all around her. She's clutching that trophy. She has a lot of media ahead of her, and she'll do it all with a smile on her face as Ons Jabeur just carries out an interview at the back of Arthur Ashe Stadium. She's signing some autographs, the Tunisian, and shortly she'll leave the court. Naomi Brody, Jeff Tarango, Russell Fuller, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be back with you tomorrow for the men's final. So 9 p.m. tomorrow on 5 Sports Extra. That's for commentary of Casper Ruud against Carlos Alcaraz in the men's singles final. And it's not just the US Open title that's on the line, it's also the world number one that is up for grabs. Basically, it really is winner takes all. So I hope you can join us for that. But for now, we can join 5 Live's continuing coverage of the death of Queen Elizabeth II.